perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Keyshawn Johnson.
He throwing the ball to Willie Snead. Willie Snead, though. Good player, but it's not even close to DeAndre Hopkins.
He knows the NFL.
Matt Nagy has not been able to figure it out since becoming the head coach.
And the NFL knows him.
He got the job because he was supposed to be an offensive specialist. It's horrible. They're wasting the defense again.
Get inside the NFL with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin every morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN News.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Well, look who decided to show up to work today.
What up, though?
About damn time. It's been a minute.
What's up, man?
It's been a minute. Happy New Year. Almost Happy New Year, I should say. Hope you had a good
yeah.
Christmas. Now, you drove through the blizzard of the century, correct?
Oh, my goodness, dude. So we left Dayton on Christmas Eve to go home to Cleveland to visit our parents and everything like that. We got up there super early. We got up there about noon. Checked into our hotel and everything like that. By the time we put our luggage up and, got on the road, go check out our parents and everything like that, it started snowing. By the time 6 o'clock rolled around, 6 inches of snow. Not only on the ground, but on the highway too. Like the plowman said, forget it. I'm not working. On Christmas Eve, it was horrible. The roads are horrible. And mind you, it didn't stop snowing until Saturday at 7 a.m. So it snowed all the way through, man. It snowed all Christmas Eve, all Christmas Day. So we're out on Christmas Day. And my dumb butt, I forgot to pack boots. I'm out there in a pair of Jordans trying to dust off my car.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Now, I don't drive in snow. I'll tell you that much. I'm a wuss when it comes to that. If there's even a hint of snow in the forecast and I gotta drive somewhere, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. So more power to you. But we welcome you in, everybody. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Kinner and Kev with you here on a Tuesday? Yeah, it's a Tuesday. Here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. And a lot has happened. I mean, the last time you and I were on the air together, it was still, 2 weeks ago. Christmas hadn't even happened yet. I mean, there's so much going on right now that we got to kind of pick up with where we left off and kind of dive into what's going on now. We are 1 week away, or we have 1 week remaining in the regular season. The regular season finale for the National Football League is this coming up Sunday, technically on Thursday. Thursday Night Football, we'll talk about that in a moment. But a big opportunity here for the Cleveland Browns this Sunday. It involves your Pittsburgh Steelers. I had this hot take yesterday, and I pushed it out all over social media today and had egg on my face by the end of the day. I was a little surprised. I'm not surprised that the Steelers have announced that they are going to sit Big Ben this coming up Sunday. When we talk about, the Steelers are going to bench their starters for this Sunday because they clinched the AFC North title. There's nothing more that they can gain by playing on Sunday. I was like, well, if they were playing any other opponent, if the Steelers were playing the Cardinals, if they were playing anyone else, I believe that they would have benched everyone because I'm not saying a loss is a good thing, but a loss is it is what it is. You've accomplished what you needed to. You won enough games to clinch your division. You can't get the number 1 seed. You can't get that bye. So there's no reason to risk an injury to any of your starters in a meaningless game. But because it's the Browns, and the Steelers may not look at the Browns as their rival, but they are an annoying bunch. The Browns are an annoying bunch. Their fans, we are an annoying bunch. They don't want to lose to the Browns, even if it is in that kind of capacity, especially just weeks removed from being upset by the Cincinnati Bengals. So there was a big part of me, Kev, that truly believed that the Steelers were going to tough it out and play this Sunday. And, of course, not even an hour or two after I posted that, it was announced that Big Ben will be benched for this coming up Sunday, which is fine. He's the oldest player on the team, I believe, playing the most important position. They need him to be as loose and ready to go as possible.
I want to say Ben is like the 3rd oldest player in the league.
I mean,
I want to say it's Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and him.
Yeah. Phillip Rivers, where's he's
Okay,
older than
yeah,
Big
he's
Ben.
older than me.
He's older than Big Ben.
So yeah, well, they're all old.
So, it is what it is. But keep in mind, we don't know right now. The Browns are an 8-point favorite as we currently sit here today. I did not see what the line was before. And I'm assuming that line is what it is because Big Ben is not playing. And then there's still an opportunity. Like you read earlier today that Fitzpatrick and some other guys, Minka Fitzpatrick, guys may not play either.
Yeah, they're saying TJ Watt's going to sit. They're saying that Minka Fitzpatrick's going to sit and get some rest and everything like that. Kind of just use this as a bye week situation. The thing that you and I were talking about yesterday, I was thinking like, well, this is Sunday was their first time looking like the Steelers again, like clicking offensively in a rhythm. And that wasn't even for a game. That was for the half. That wasn't even for a half. That was from the 6-minute mark in the third quarter until the end of the game. So you didn't even get 2 halves of good football offensively. So that was my rationale saying, well, maybe they will play them because you want to be clicking on all cylinders going into the playoffs, taking a quote unquote bye week and then resting guys. Maybe you get out of rhythm. But obviously Coach T thinks, hey, man, we got to have our number one guy, our quarterback, ready to go. We can't potentially risk any of our big dogs getting hurt. And then if we all know if Ben gets hurt and he's not playing, they're going to lose.
Yeah, that's going to be key. And keep in mind, the other thing that's important about all of this is we're going to have Browns Steelers this Sunday. If the Browns win, we're going to have Browns Steelers part 3 a week from Sunday as well. Or Saturday. I'm not sure what the AFC playoff wildcard schedule is, but keep in mind that is going to be an interesting dilemma there because, again, facing the same team back-to-back weeks, and it is the Steelers. And regardless of who's sitting, who's not sitting, the aura of the Steelers still exists in this matchup. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, even when it's a down Steelers team, it's still the ghost of the Steelers that just continues to haunt the Cleveland Browns on a year-in, year-out basis. My thing is this. We don't even know what the Cleveland Browns roster is going to look like come Sunday. I mean, we had the entire wide receiving core miss this past Sunday against the Jets. I think they have until Thursday. They have to test positive X amount of times between now and Thursday to negative. The first negative. Sorry, the first time they could even hit the practice field is going to be Thursday, if they all pass those test caps. So we don't even know what the landscape of the Browns is going to look like. But we also saw without those guys, they couldn't even beat the Jets. And even with the Steelers benching and resting some of their guys, they're still going to be better than the Jets, you would have to think. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of the build-up to this and what this matchup's actually going to look like on Sunday.
Where were you at with the whole Browns playing without wide receivers thing?
I was annoyed, but I got it. I had to stay consistent because I was fine with all the other teams that were being forced to play despite having to be without their entire offensive line or whatnot. The NFL had instructed these teams to not let your entire position groups practice together. They urged keeping some of your guys separate so that if one person caught it, you didn't wipe out a whole position. And teams have continued to ignore that protocol all year. It's not a strict protocol, but it is I remember when the season started, some of the suggestions to the teams of how to prepare throughout the season was, only have your position groups practice together as little as possible and as much as you need to be able to get them up to speed on what they need, but try to keep them as separate as possible so that you avoid these types of situations. And we've seen it on multiple occasions. Teams have gone without quarterbacks for the year. Teams have gone without an offensive line for the year. No, not you, Bengals. The Cleveland Browns had no wide receivers this past Sunday. And then that was because of COVID. You cap on top of it the fact that their offensive line was banged up and injured. The whole left side of the offensive line was out. And then the defense is bad. I mean, it was a perfect storm. It was typical Browns luck, if that's a thing. I wasn't upset. I was just I was bummed out because it's just unfortunate that the Browns had an opportunity to pick up an easy 11th win, take that momentum into this week, clinch a playoff berth, and set up the Steelers matchup and, of course, take some momentum into the playoffs. And now this is the playoffs. Like, it's win or go home. Yes, there's a ton of other scenarios out there, but if you can't beat this Steelers team without Big Ben and some of their key components, I don't even care about what you do in the playoffs. Like, if you can't beat this Steelers team, this is the playoffs. I don't care about what's next after that. They got to win.
Man, I was totally against it, man. I was totally against what the NFL has been doing all season. I was against them forcing the Steelers to play 3 games in 12 days. I was against them making the Broncos go out there with a wide receiver play quarterback in an NFL game. I was against them making the Ravens play a game without practicing, and I was totally against them forcing the Browns to play a game without wide receivers. The thing about the NFL is they want to stay on schedule. They want their schedule to stay the schedule. They want to have the Super Bowl on that date. They want to have the Combine on this date. They want to have the NFL draft on this date. They want free agency to start on this date. They want everything to roll smoothly. But we're in a pandemic, and you want to talk about competitive advantages in the game being the game. Well, all those teams that were in disarray this season, and I just named a couple, like those are the ones that really stuck out to me off the top of my head. I'm sure a lot of other teams were affected by COVID. You know, you look at what happened with the Ravens and the Steelers matchup that was supposed to take place on Thanksgiving. Like that game basically got bumped an entire week. It got bumped all the way to Wednesday. We were in the studio right here watching the game on a Wednesday. And then the Steelers had to turn around and play another game. Matter of fact, the Ravens as well, they had to turn around and play a game on Sunday. And it's just like you hear so much talk about player safety. Like, is that safe? Is like I just thought it was so foul that the NFL did that, man, just so they could potentially stay on schedule. I didn't like it at all. And this was the cherry on top. Like, you're really about to make a team go out there with me and you playing wide receiver. Like, that's just wrong. I just think that's wrong.
The other thing too, the Steelers were not, or the Browns were not supposed to have that many guys in the hot tub. So I think I'm going to give the NFL credit on this. People, and you disagree, you don't like it, but the one thing that drove me nuts about Major League Baseball was they said, hey, put these, we're going to have these little, you're going to have this separate team that you can have at a separate practice facility. You're going to have a pool of guys that if you don't have guys, you're going to be able to go and pull from so that you can make sure you get your games in. Well, that was pointless all season because the Major League Baseball never made them go and do that.
Right.
The NFL allowed these guys to expand rosters and expand practice squad rosters so that if you had position groups out, you were going to have guys to go and pull from. So I know we don't like it, but I can't complain about Major League Baseball and say, well, what was the point of having all these extra guys if you don't make them go use it? And then the NFL's doing it, and then I have a problem with it. Had the Browns not had done that, again, they didn't really break protocol, but again, when they're talking about the suggested rules of how to, try to prevent the spread, groups and hot tubs and stuff and other things, that was one of the measures that was on there, and they broke that. I think the NFL, what are some of the games that I forgot there was the games that they did move, it was not due to teams messing up, right? Outside of the Ravens. Now I do believe that they showed a little bit
Titans moved as well.
The Titans, now they showed favoritism towards teams who were playing on national spotlight, because keep in mind, if NBC had the Sunday night football game, they had the commercials sold. I understood why they pushed those back. The Steelers and the Jets and the Browns was a 1:00 kickoff. It wasn't a nationally televised game. So it was just one of those where I think that's why they kept it as that. The games that they were flexible on, that they were trying to be as, little bit flexible as much as possible, pushing back, it's because those networks paid top dollar for those games. And I do believe that played a role in why some games were given a little bit of leniency in regards to being rescheduled, and others were told, "No, you're good. Go ahead and play anyway."
You're probably right. But the biggest thing about it, the NFL, it's only 16 games. We have a logjam right now with 4 teams that are 10-5. And one of those teams isn't going to make the playoffs. And it potentially could be the Browns that doesn't make the playoffs because
beat the Raiders. I told you that damn Raiders game can come back and hot, not the Jets. No, you were healthy for the Raiders. You should have beat the Raiders. Keep going.
No, it is foul. It messes up the competitive balance of the league when you do stuff like that. Like, it's a total domino effect on the season. Like, I'm not a Browns fan by any means, but my dad is, my father-in-law is, my wife is, my uncle, my grandmother, and they're all blowing me up like crazy. Like, they're really about to make us play without any wide receivers. They're really about to go out here and play with no wide receivers. Like, they got practice squad guys. Who are they? What do they do? I was like, practice squad guys don't get reps. So I'm sure you and Byers talked about this on Sunday about the lack of reps that practice squad guys get. We may look at it from a situation where, oh man, you're on the team, you're getting as many reps as, Jarvis Landry. No, you're not. You're there as a practice squad player to imitate the other team, and sometimes imitate a DB to help the real starters or the real guys in the rotation get reps. So those guys that played on Sunday for the Browns got 0 reps. Their reps were in a parking lot.
Yep.
hours before the game. And I think that just puts the Browns, and not only the Browns, it put every team that they forced to play games like that at a total competitive disadvantage. And not only put those teams at a disadvantage, but it in turn helped other teams, not the teams that they're playing against, but other teams that they are in playoff contention for. So we can look at the Colts. Look at the Colts, for instance. Okay, the Steelers came back and beat the Colts. But now the Colts are still in the playoff hunt because the Browns did not have their wide receivers on Sunday's matchup. It's just weird to me, man. It's weird to me that the league does things like this, but I shouldn't be surprised because they've been doing things like this for the longest time. We've always known that the NFL wants to keep their calendar. They want to make sure they get their money. They want to keep their media partners happy. And you're probably right. They probably were able to move around those games because NBC and ESPN paid top dollar. And they're like, nah, man, y'all gonna make this right because we already paid y'all.
Yeah, that's why you had Sunday night football on a Tuesday night. You had Monday night football on a Wednesday. So that's why I'm saying it's for people out there like, oh, they just hate the Browns. If we were the Steelers and this. No, the games that were postponed and moved, those were nationally televised games as far as the primetime games in those major slots. I'm sure there's a game out there that was moved that was not in those. And listeners, if you can find that and correct me, please do. But I know on multiple occasions, I was watching these makeup games and you're hearing the Sunday night football imaging on Tuesday night. You're hearing the Monday night football on Wednesday night.
Oh, you're ready for some football.
I get why they moved those because people pay. Businesses pay, top dollar
advertising
for the commercials in those in those games and in those slots on those nights. So by moving those, that's why. That's why the Big Ten championship game, one of the leverages that Fox had of moving that, like the Big Ten title game is always at night.
Yeah.
And they moved that to noon this year because because Fox lost out on so many big noon kickoffs, so many Big Ten games had to be moved and canceled. That's one of the leverages they had in moving the Big Ten title game up to noon so they can take advantage of that big noon kickoff time slot that they want. So that is important. Keep that in mind. It's not that the league was targeting the Browns. It was wrong. I do believe it was wrong. But I woke up the Sunday morning show with, when I woke up and hosted that show with Keith. And I said, look, I actually thought that it was going to be a blessing in disguise that the Browns almost didn't have all the starters there because I looked at the Jets. That was a true definition of a trap game. You have a one-win Jets team. You're on the road. You're looking ahead to the Steelers. You're playing your best football of the season. There's talks of you potentially winning an AFC, regular season title, and you're looking ahead to the Steelers matchup. And I thought that they would have maybe taken a step backwards against the Jets had they been fully healthy because it's a trap game. I thought that Baker, you were going to have the ultimate focus because you had so many new guys playing because of the situation that you were so stressed and worried about that you weren't even worried about the Steelers moving forward. But there is something to be said. I know that you're a cliche guy. You know that next man up mentality.
Yes,
I get it. But in situations like this, I don't want to hear about the next man up mentality, as I talked about on the show yesterday. Kevin and I are going to go back and forth on it now, but I don't want to hear about the next man up mentality because there's a big difference. To expect the Browns, for the haters out there to truly, Kev, to expect the Browns to play at the same level without Rashard Higgins, without Donovan Peoples-Jones, without Jarvis Landry, to expect Baker to play at the same level without those guys as he would with. That's not realistic. It's just not realistic. I'm sorry. It's just not. I'm not a fan of anyone that said, oh, next man up. That doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. You take the best receivers away from Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to be as MVP-like. I don't care who. Aaron Rodgers. Take Devontae Adams away from him. He's not MVP. By the way, he's the favorite now, the outside favorite to win MVP. Why? Because look at all the wide receiver talent he has around him. Take it away. Aaron Rodgers isn't the favorite to win MVP this year. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I was watching the game thanks to technology. I was able to watch not only the Browns game, but the Steelers game as well. I was watching the game and I saw the Browns come out passing. But the thing about it was they weren't passing to those wide receivers. They were passing to Austin Hooper, who they paid a lot of money for, dropping the ball. I saw them throwing it to the rookie tight end, who's pretty good. I saw him drop the ball. I saw them throwing it into the flat. Matter of fact, they started the game with Chubb and Hunt in the game at the same time. So I thought that was a great adjustment by the coaching staff. Like, all right, we're going to make sure we put our best 11 on the field. What's our best 11? When we don't have our starting wide receivers, we're going to put Hunt and Chubb on the field at the same time. That's a package they rarely use. They sprinkle that in, but they started the game with that. So I had no problem with them coming out the game passing because they weren't passing to those wide receivers. Those dudes were out on the island. Y'all just stay out there and stay out the way. Kind of like when you go play pickup basketball and you got to pick up an extra guy who sucks. Hey, man, you just stand in the corner and keep that dude occupied.
No. Pass me the ball. I'm open. If I'm open, I'm open. No. Pass me the ball.
You just stay up there. And they were going to, like, yeah, I believe their playbook was limited because, like, all right, if they had plays drawn up for other wide receivers, they weren't running those plays. I just look at the amount of money that they paid Austin Hooper, and he didn't come through. I think he had like 2 or 3 drops that game.
They also lined him up. Again, it sounds like an excuse. They lined him up as in wide receiver spots. They did the same thing with Kareem Hunt. They said, they lined him up at wide receiver, which, by the way, I'm all for it. Yeah. If it means taking your experienced guys and moving them to a position they're not familiar with, I will take those guys in those spots rather than the practice squad guys. But again, that looked like a team that was just totally off sync altogether. But the Hooper thing, man, that ticked me off. I said, we keep talking about trading OBJ. Trade him. Trade him. You know me. I have a quick fuse. It's a good thing I don't run an NFL team because I'd be one bad game, your ass is out of here. I'm trading you left and right. But I'm a big Harrison Bryant fan, by the way. But he had some key drops as well. But yeah, let's go to the phone. 457-9464. Who we got, Kev?
We got Mark from Tip City.
Mark and Tip, welcome. How are you?
You are driving me crazy, Justin.
So it's just another day, huh?
When are you going to defer and make this the Kevin and Kenner show? Kevin makes a great point, and then I'm going to just take you down.
Okay.
Kevin says, it's really shame on the NFL. We are in the middle of a pandemic. They're not going to get off schedule, so it's onward we go. And I agree with Kevin. I salute him for those comments. But with that being said, guess what? You still got to play this weekend. And like Kevin just said, you put your best players on the field that you have to go with that game, and you go with it. The best thing that could happen to the Browns is their coach didn't show up Sunday because you were out-coached. Your coach made so many blunders, and yet you went to Facebook, Justin, and you came on here, and the first thing you did was say, well, we didn't have a banged-up offensive line. We didn't have our receivers.
That's a fact. That's a fact. You can't just negate facts. I mean, that's a fact.
Right, but last month you said, congratulations, Ohio State. You went on the road missing 22 in a coach. Job well done. Next man up. But when it comes to
big difference between a team that's loaded up with a bunch of guys that could start for any team in the conference. No, you can't. No, that's a fact. That is a fact.
No, it's not.
They literally collect 4 and 5 stars like Pokemon cards. I'm telling you, that is a fact.
No,
the Browns,
not a fact.
That's a fact. That's not even an opinion. That's a fact.
It's not a fact.
It
you
is.
Know what the fact? You
What's the fact?
Luke Fickell, you call Ryan Day, you call the coach at Wright State, you call the Dayton Flyers coach. You say, hey, if we are out a couple players, is it still next man up? And to the coach, they're going to say, we just got to find a way to win. Had you lost,
coaches talk. Yeah, there's a lot of good insight in coaches talk.
Who do you expect to run the team? The coaches. Had you lost to a 6-9 team without your receivers, I'd have said, yeah, I might buy into it. You lost to a 1-14 team because your quarterback threw 53 times.
Okay.
But I knew you were going to do this, and I'm doing this in fun. Don't get your dander up too much. You came out and said, we went through a walkthrough in a parking garage. Our linemen were banged up. And
another fact.
Who cares? Who cares?
You can't just say who cares. I mean, what do you mean who cares?
But I'm going to prove that you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Because you turned around right after that and said, but this weekend, if we can't beat a depleted Steelers team that we don't believe in, we didn't belong in the playoffs. Well, which is it? If you lose to a team like the Steelers this weekend that are sitting their players, you don't deserve it. And then
a healthy Browns team, they get all their receivers back. If Donovan Peoples-Jones and Jarvis Landry and all those cats are back, and they can't beat this Browns and they can't beat this Steelers team, trust me, my tone will be completely different. But this past Sunday, it was a completely different team. This wasn't not the Browns team that had won 10 games this year. What do you do?
Pull your socks up and you keep.
Oh, that sounds all cute. You can put it on a bumper sticker, but that's really not how it works. It just really isn't.
Had you lost to a 6-9 team, okay. You lost to a 1-14 team, buddy.
Uh-huh.
Take You lost. You got outplayed and outcoached.
Had the Browns been healthy, your take would be more valid. But they didn't have any of their guys. What do you expect? They're not. Those are facts. Why would you expect a team to lose all the guys that they did and still play at the same level they did the week before? I don't get it.
The fact is, you were missing those players, but you didn't lose the game because you were missing those players.
That's exactly why they lost.
That's not exactly.
That's exactly why they lost. You don't have firepower. The offense wasn't what it typically is. I mean, come on. It's really not that hard to figure out.
Much more about sports than this. This is crazy.
So hold on. I'm wrong so let me get this straight. So Justin Kinner, his analysis is that the team that had won 10 games with all the talent that they had misses all that talent this past Sunday and loses a game. And I'm saying that's common sense, dude. I don't even get it.
I'm shocked that you make that comment. Missing all that talent. You still got other players on that team that are talented.
That one position is what leads and makes that offense as good as it is.
Well, Kevin had a great point. That number 84 receiver, he caught some good passes, and the tight end played a little better. The play calling was horrible. The lack of effort was evident.
Again, if you act like the receivers being out changes only one aspect of the game. It changes how the game is called. It changes how Baker plays. It changes how the coach calls the game. It changes the run game. It changes everything. Everything.
Well, I guarantee you, if you beat the Steelers this weekend, and they question Mike Brown in Pittsburgh, he's going to say, it don't matter who we put on the field. We didn't perform and we should have won the game. That's the guy who doesn't make excuses. You're making excuses.
Okay.
No coach is going to say, we lost.
My bad, Mark. I should not have used common sense in this conversation. I should have just said, every bad team out there should just say, hey, next man up. No excuses. We got to be better. No. When you're bad, you're bad. And the Browns are bad without their best players. I mean, that's common sense.
Why don't you go back to your comments about Ohio State when they were missing 22 players and a coach?
Again, the guys who replaced the 22, and by the way, the 22 guys that Ohio State missed, how many of them were starters? And by the way, and the guys that replaced those starters, they're just as good as those guys at Ohio State. That's the deal. Remember Ohio State, the third string guy coming in to lead them to a national championship? Yippee-ki-yay. I mean, give me a break.
You had Urban Meyer sitting right there. It don't matter if J.C. Barrett's playing or Braxton Miller. Next man up.
All right, Mark, I appreciate the call as always. Thank you for calling in to the Kevin and Kinner Show.
You got it. I'll keep listening to the Kevin and Kinner Show.
Later, Take care. Take care.
Come on. Things have not changed in the time I've been off.
I was calm. I was calm. I thought I was critical of the Browns and also mentioning the fact that, hey, I don't know what you expected for them this past Sunday. Now, had they won, I would have been like, oh, cool for the Browns. Great game for Baker Mayfield. But Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play. Aaron Rodgers won't play at an MVP level if you take his receivers away. Patrick Mahomes. All right, none of these guys will. None. I don't know why it's easy to just say, oh, well, let's pick a bumper sticker out of the bag here. So next man up mentality. Got to play with what you got. Well, they did play with what they got, and it's just not as good. That's why they lost. That's simple. When they get their guys back.
I think two things can be true at the same time. I think they didn't play well. I think there's reasons and excuses. Part of the reason they didn't win is because they didn't have their starting wide receiver. Matter of fact, their top 4 wide receivers out there, but also they could have played better at every facet of the game, not only offensively, but defensively as well. I mean, Baker didn't throw any.
They really can't play better defensively. That is who they are. That bad.
Baker didn't throw any interceptions, but he had 3 fumbles. The trick plays that the Jets brought out. It was a lot drop passes. So there were elements of the game. I mean, let's not get it twisted. They were down inside the 20-yard line on that 4th and 1 on the QB sneak. Don't know why you're QB sneaking when you got Nick Chubb, but that's another story. But
wasn't a fumble, ball never hit the ground. It was a behind the back pass.
Magic Johnson now?
Baker's that good.
Houdini, Fitzmagic.
Holy smokes. Where are we at? Dylan, shout out to Dylan. Dylan says his caller's delusional. All talent matters. Go back to your couch, Mark.
Hashtag all talent matters.
Hashtag all talent, man. Yeah. Huh. What is wrong with you?
I couldn't help it, man. I've been off for a while, man. I've been in my bag.
Jake Whiting, despite being a Bengals fan, says facts, Justin. See, smart guy. Kind of. Nick on Facebook says, and again, we're live on Facebook. Search the Justin Kinner Show. You can leave your comment in the comment section. We pull them into the show. Nick says, Baker fumbled it away. With all those guys missing, they should have won if not for Butterfingers Hayfield. I'm not making excuses for the fumbles. The fumbles, by the way, he's fumbled in weeks past. But you know why that didn't matter? Because they put up a lot of points. You know why they put up a lot of points? Because they had all the talent at wide receiver and it balanced that with the run game and the offensive line. Not excuses. These are just facts. And another fact is, Baker, stop fumbling the damn ball. We'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Next, don't go anywhere.
Merry Christmas. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
We have sunny skies today with a high of 37 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 33 degrees. And for your midweek Wednesday, rain is predicted, but a high of 51 degrees. And I'm Lorna Stevens for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Listen to this radio station on the radio.com app. Discover and enjoy your favorite music, news, and talk radio from live stations across the country. Listen anywhere on all mobile and home devices with the radio.com app.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
Get organized and save big money with help from Menards and Dakota Shelving. Whether you need a spot for extra storage or want to add an accent to your living space, Dakota has the shelf for you. With a variety of attractive finishes, your shelves are guaranteed to match your style. Right now, keep your home neat and tidy and pick up a pre-finished square edge shelf for $9.99 at Menards. Prices are good through January 2nd.
Save big money at Menards.
You decided to upgrade your outdoor deck. So you ordered the essentials: a power washer, a set of patio chairs, and a shiny new grill. And you used your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member, which you put towards your most essential deck addition, a bird feeder. Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
A sports injury, low back pain, or are you interested in improving your performance and getting to the next level? Orion Sports Medicine is truly a unique sports medicine and physical therapy clinic and training facility. We offer a highly educated staff that has experience working with athletes from the recreational and youth levels to elite professionals. We offer services that include PT, functional assessment, wellness, fitness, return to sport, sports performance, strength and conditioning, speed and agility training, all at our state-of-the-art facility in Miamisburg. For more information on Orion Sports Medicine, visit orionsportsmedicine.com.
College football, it's the game you wake up early on Saturdays for, even though kickoff isn't until 7. The game where the Goodyear blimp becomes a Hall of Famer. The game that goes just beyond school, spirit, fandom, or love of the sport. It's the game where the comebacks happen. It's the game where anything can and will happen, as long as you have the drive. Because college football is the game that moves you. We get it because it moves us too. Goodyear, more driven.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Make it a new family habit to take your temperature with the Exergen Temporal Scanner before dinner and in the morning. It's the #1 thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. On Twitter? Make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Don't miss the Buckeyes take on Clemson this Friday night in the Sugar Bowl as the college football playoffs kick off the new year. Coverage
number 11.
Coverage starts at 6:30 with kickoff at 8 p.m. right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. We have Packers fans around here, by the way.
Really? Green Bay Packers fans.
Some guy named Cassius Clay on Facebook says, it's his name. You are crazy. Rodgers is still elite with no names. No. Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to be MVP level quarterback throwing to the guys that Baker Mayfield was this past week. It just wasn't going to happen. And Aaron Rodgers is MVP level quarterback. He's a great quarterback. But again, if he don't have talent, he ain't winning games and he's not an MVP level quarterback. It's not that hard to figure out. Every position in the NFL is very dependent. The offensive positions are very dependent. The running back relies on wide receiving talent to help kind of spread the field. They rely on the offensive line. Right? The quarterback relies on the offensive line. They rely on a good run game. They rely on good wide receivers around them. Like no one does it themselves. To act like one guy wins you game. No. It's a combination of everything. So no, I disagree.
Ultimate team game.
Yeah, in basketball, one guy could win you games. One guy's not going to win you a title, but one guy can win you games. But in football, no, one guy is not going to turn everything around. Lazard was a no-name before Rodgers. So was the others on the Packers. You can't even name them. You just mentioned Tay Adams. They have more talent than just him. If you're talking about Tay Adams, talking about Adams, he has like 170 catches or whatever on the season. Like everyone else, I think has 30. I mean, he is their offense. With Tay Adams.
What's the tight end they got? The rookie. He's a rookie or a second-year guy.
And he has the second most receptions, I believe. Tunyon, whatever. He has the second most catches on the team. And the two running backs have come. They have the third most catches on the team.
Man.
So you take Devontae Adams out, Aaron Rodgers, not MVP level quarterback, and that's not on him. So I don't know why I'm getting all fired up about this. This all started from me just using common sense, saying, "Hey, when you have talent around you, you play real well. When you don't have talent around you, you don't look as good." It's not that hard to figure out.
I think they're saying that he's elevating those guys, and Baker should have elevated those guys. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe you can elevate elevate practice squad players that never practice. I don't believe that. I believe that a quarterback can elevate the play of other starters, or other players that are in the rotation. Yeah, but dudes that just literally you met today, that's not going to happen. That's just not reality. But I also will say this. Nobody cares. And then we're making that obviously clear. Nobody cares that teams have injuries. Nobody cares that teams have COVID issues. This is the league's way of, they decided to play the season. The players decided to play this season this way. And that's how it goes. Unfortunately, I totally disagree with it, but this is what they decided to do, not only as a league, but as players. So you got to roll with the punches.
Well, next man up, Kev. Next man up.
That's how
play to the whistle.
That's how I get down. That's how I get quarters. Down. But I truly still believe that it is very foul to NFL what they've been doing to these teams this year. But nobody cares, man. So I'm on an island. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that these teams have COVID issues and missing players. So it's do or die on Sunday for the Browns.
And look, I'm not trying to get into this bashing Aaron Rodgers thing, but if he has one damn Super Bowl, as great as he is, his one damn Super Bowl. If he's as great as everyone says he is, why didn't he have more than that? It's amazing to me.
Because it's hard to win a Super Bowl.
Not for the greats.
Yes,
Tom Brady has no problem doing it. Peyton Manning has more than one. In fact, he did it with two different teams.
Who you think is a better quarterback, Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers?
I'm a big fan of Peyton growing up, so I'm going to go with my youth there. I watched him growing up, but Aaron Rodgers is special, though. He's really good. They're both good. I mean, they're both fans. You can't go wrong with either one. Can't go wrong with either one. But I'm gonna go with Peyton Manning, but there is no gap. I think it's 1A and 1B. Most people would say Aaron Rodgers, though. I do believe most people would say Aaron Rodgers.
From the eyeball test, just watching games, I would take Aaron Rodgers. But from everything that we know about allegedly know about Aaron Rodgers, like as a team guy and, unity and all that type of stuff, locker room guy, all those rumors that float around about Aaron Rodgers, because that's the only thing we know if them to be rumors. And everything that we know about Peyton Manning and his openness and trying to be a good teammate, I would ultimately pick Peyton Manning. But talent-wise, and we're going to talk about talent versus reality later on, talent-wise, Aaron Rodgers is probably the best ever. I think talent-wise, I think he's the best quarterback ever. Like even more talented than a guy that I love to death on the football field, John Elway, or even Dan Marino. I think talent-wise, Aaron Rodgers is better than them. But I would take Peyton just because those intangibles like locker room type of stuff.
His commercials are better too. So there you go. Doug Toby says Rodgers has never had a first round wide receiver ever. Again, and I've talked about this before. And by the way, that is strange. The Packers went that long.
So totally overblown.
The first offensive player that the Packers drafted since drafting Aaron Rodgers was his potential replacement in Jordan Love. But look, this is the thing, though, and I say this all the time. I've said this about the Seahawks. I've said about every team out there that pays their quarterback max talent. The second that quarterback gets that max deal, your organization has to become very strategic. And I think that Aaron Rodgers' talent works against him because that people are right. And by the way, I'm not comparing Baker Mayfield to Aaron Rodgers. Baker Mayfield is not Aaron Rodgers. I think that, I would never compare him to them. So why use Aaron Rodgers in an argument to discredit what I'm talking about with Baker? So that's a conversation for later. But Aaron Rodgers' talent is used against him because he does make it work with what they give him at times. And because of that, he gets – think about, for those of you listening, think about you at your job. How many of you have the mentality of, well, I don't have the resources to do X, Y, and Z, but you adapt and you find ways to make things happen? You know what happens? Your boss will say, well, there's no need to spend money on X, Y, and Z because this person over here is finding a way to get it done. And then you get screwed over. When you work your ass off, you end up getting screwed over because you found ways to make your job work despite all the limitations. That's no different. This is a business. The NFL is a business. So when Aaron Rodgers finds ways to make it work without all the weapons that they don't provide him in the first round, because the organization has said, well, Aaron, he'll take care of it. We don't need to spend money on this position. We can save money by going with the cheap route over here because Aaron will take that cheap route and make the most of it. That happens to everyone in their everyday lives and their everyday jobs, and it happens to these guys in the NFL. Baker Mayfield is not Aaron Rodgers. Baker Mayfield has to have everything go perfect, right? Like there's a reason that the Browns said, you know what? I need to get him an OBJ. I need to get him a Jarvis Landry. I need to get him, they took Donovan Peoples-Jones. You didn't know OBJ was going to be out for the year. They took another, receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones. They re-signed Rashard Higgins. They were looking at other wide receivers. So my point is that the Browns know that Baker Mayfield, he can win you games when you provide him everything that he needs. They provided him everything he needed. They took a hit on the defense. With Aaron Rodgers, you don't have to provide him everything that he needs because he's going to make the most of what he has, proving the point of what Cassius is saying here on Facebook. But that works against him. So I don't feel bad that he doesn't get all the pieces he needs in Green Bay because he finds a way to get it done without. We see Russell Wilson doing it in Seattle, but that can only get you so far. I took the crack about the Super Bowls earlier, but Aaron Rodgers' greatness is why he doesn't have more Super Bowls. If he had a little bit, I'm telling you, if Aaron Rodgers had more flaws, the front office would say, oh man, we need to get him a little bit more help. He needs more help. He has some flaws. We need to make, he's forcing it, too many to this side. We need to help him out. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I believe that he gets punished for being good at his job. That happened for our listeners. I know a lot of you are listening right now saying, that's me at my job. I show up every day. I work my ass off. I do this, this, and this. They're not providing me with enough help, but I'm going to keep doing this anyway. But you screw yourself over because then when you prove you could do it without those things, they ain't going to provide them for you later. And that's what happens to Aaron Rodgers. So Baker Mayfield, he gets he gets rewarded for having flaws. They know he needs help. And this is me, a Browns fan. I like Baker Mayfield. I support him and I defend him all the time. But I know he has flaws. But I've said this since we started doing the show. I told you Baker has to have everything. Everything has to be laid out perfectly for him to succeed. That's not a lot of quarterbacks in the league. That's not a lot of quarterbacks in the league. Aaron Rodgers can get it done with or without. So that's all I'm trying to say about that. I think he gets punished for that. I think we see it. But the problem is when all the money is put into one position, okay, when it's put into one position, it's tough to balance it out. The Packers are saying, we can give him minimal, and he's going to make do with that. Let's put all the money on the defense and hope that we get enough offense to support the defense. And that's why the Packers are always one of the most well-rounded teams in the NFL. But again, one Super Bowl.
That's what makes the NFL and team sports that have a salary cap so great. You, as a juggling act, it's not only a juggling act on the field to win games, but it's a juggling act to get players, because you have to pay your elite guys because you want to keep those elite guys because those are the guys that keep you winning games. But then you got to provide them with weapons. Well, all right, man, we got a spectacular offense. We're scoring freaking 38 points a game. Oh, man, we're giving up 35 points a game. All right, we're not going to re-sign this offensive lineman. Yeah. We'll shortchange there, and then we'll go get this dynamic pass rusher to help us on defense. And then it's a juggling act. And I always say it's the front office's responsibility to find those quote-unquote hidden gems. It's their responsibility to find those other guys in later rounds to help these teams out. You know, I've always been a proponent of when ESPN constantly says, well, you know, they never drafted an offensive weapon for Aaron Rodgers in the first round. I think that's so overblown. It's not like they have multiple first round picks. You only got one of them. You know, so how many times have they spent it on a linebacker or a playmaking safety? I remember when they spent it on Clinton Dix. He was a hell of a playmaker in the second half. He was making plays. They spent it on a left tackle, like to protect Aaron Rodgers' blind side. So there's other draft picks and there are other rounds where there's tons of talent. You know, there's only 32 picks in the first round. So I think that's totally overblown. I mean, Devontae Adams, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. He played at Utah. He was like a third round pick. So find those guys. Like we talk about Russell Wilson in the Seahawks, DK Metcalf, he played at Ole Miss. He's a second round pick. AJ Brown, he played at Ole Miss. He's a second round pick for Tennessee. Like, yo, do your job and find your quarterback and find your team weapons that aren't in the first round. This ain't supposed to be easy. If it was easy, then everybody would be able to make these draft picks. Or they could make bad picks like Corey Coleman with the Browns. How'd that work out for him? How'd that work out for the Browns? Not too well.
He cost me $1,000.
Really?
Yeah, that eliminated the league. I was down to me and three people. It would have been the 0-16 year. They had the Steelers the final week. If the Steelers, or if the Browns would have won, it would have knocked out everyone else, and then I would have been the last one standing. I would have walked away with all the money. Mm-hmm. Coleman wide open on the sideline. Had he caught it, he could have just turned and ran it in for the score. The Browns would have beat the Steelers, and it would have knocked out everybody, and I would have won. So, yeah, I was a little, it was OBJ-esque, put it that way. But, yeah, so I always remember Coleman. I always, him in Hard Knocks, too. He was a, main player in that as well. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Let's go to Tim. Tim, thanks for holding. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'll tell you what, I agreed with everything you were talking about yesterday. So you got to get that little Rodgers nugget in there, and then today. Now, first of all, I think one of the things that the Browns fans may be forgetting is it wasn't just receivers, but losing two offensive linemen, your starting left tackle. If they would have had maybe one or two receivers and that guy, I think they would have beaten the Jets. Mm-hmm. If they would have had the offensive linemen, they could have run the ball. They couldn't run the ball because they didn't have good blocking. If you watch that game, the Browns' offensive line wasn't giving those guys a chance. They had to throw. I mean, it was just a bad situation all the way around. But now let's talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers, because when I hear you guys talk about these things, it's so mind-blowing. Yes, Aaron Rodgers would have beaten the Jets with those same guys. Let me tell you what he did without Devontae Adams. Without Devontae Adams, this year, third game of the season, he went down to the Saints and put 37 points on the Saints there in New Orleans. What did he do the next week without Devontae Adams? He threw 3 touchdown passes to an undrafted free agent, Robert Tonyan. Now, the Packers have always had these guys. Lazard, undrafted free agent last year. Jake Kumbro, undrafted free agent. I'm going to remind you of what you were saying last year about Devontae Adams. You probably don't remember, but you were talking about how the Cincinnati Bengals should ship off A.J. Green to the Packers because the Packers don't have anybody. And you just sloughed off Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers.
Me and so many other people. I mean, AJ Green, the prime spot for him was Green Bay. That's what everyone was saying out there. Besides, you need more than one wide receiver.
No Packer fans or true Packer fans that follow him thought they needed any of this stuff. We said we need defense. We need defense. Hey, the Packers not getting more Super Bowls isn't because Aaron Rodgers having bad years. It's because of bad special teams. It's because of bad defenses. I mean, people like me are frustrated because we see all these great linebackers every year. The Packers pass all these guys, and every year it's the same thing. You just run the ball up the middle against the Packers. Until Sunday night, we saw what they did against Tennessee and Derrick Henry.
Baker looks better against the Titans.
Well,
I'm just giving you our time, man. I'm just giving you 40 points. When Aaron Rodgers put 38 points up in one half, my friend, then you can talk, okay? No, I'm just joking, but yes, I know what you're saying.
And last year, you were talking about guys like Jordy. Aaron Rodgers creates these guys. True Packer fans that follow it, hey, they know, hey, they're going to get, as long as you have a guy that's smart and runs around. I remember when Devontae first came, he was dropping balls left and right. He was the third, he was fighting to be the third guy, a few years back. Rodgers works with these guys and he turns them into all pros. Like you said last year, what happened to George Nelson when he left the Packers, when the Packers let him go? He went to the Raiders and really didn't do a whole lot, did he, with Derek Carr? Aaron Rodgers is the man. Now,
there's no question that Aaron Rodgers is the man. My only thing about that is I don't think people realize the lack of reps that practice squad guys get. Like, these aren't the backups. These aren't the third string guys. These aren't guys that are running down on special teams, gunners and everything like that. These guys don't get any reps. They don't even get reps with the backups. Like, they're just bodies.
I know.
I think
Mayfield was having to do stuff in the parking garage with those guys before the game. And I'm saying this, Aaron Rodgers, guys in the parking garage before the game, those same guys that he would have done enough to beat the Jets. We're not talking about the Saints. We're not talking about the Saints. We're not talking about, the Titans. We're talking about the Jets.
But you don't know that. You don't know that.
I would bet on that.
Oh, you can bet on it. That's fine. Betting on it's fine. But, like,
how many times have he thrown these insane Hail Marys to guys who were playing?
Hail Marys are what? That's like a full court heave.
I don't know, man. Like, he has the most, though.
I would put Rodgers out there. I think of Rodgers halftime. Rodgers so many times would go off script. Think about the plays he's made. And like I said, I'm just talking about beating the Jets. I don't know if he could beat. I wouldn't bet he could do that against the Bears this year. But we're talking about the Jets.
Eddie, since you're a Green Bay fan, are they sitting guys? Are the Green Bay Packers sitting guys?
No.
Bears?
There's still a chance. They have. The only way they get that first seed for sure is if they win.
Okay.
They could get it even if they lose, but if it's not with the Saints so much, it's with the Seahawks. If the Seahawks were to win and the Packers were to lose, the Seahawks have a tiebreaker, not head-to-head, but they have a tiebreaker advantage over the Packers. So the Packers are, yeah. So the Packers don't have.
So is that the Sunday night game?
That's the Sunday night.
Okay.
Packers and the Bears, baby. And Trubisky's playing a little bit better, but they're going to get a lesson, man. They're going to get a lesson. Like I told you guys a couple weeks ago, Aaron Rodgers, boom. They draft Jordan Love. I don't know. Who knows? He may be getting less money than Mahomes for those commercials. Aaron Rodgers is a guy, and this is the other thing I was thinking about yesterday. You talk about things don't motivate people, billboard stuff. Aaron Rodgers is a guy, man, he gets a chip on his shoulder. He does. Like I said, he's told, hey, Danica Patrick, see ya. I got to really focus on football now. I'm not just going to go throw 35 touchdown passes or something. I'm going to get 45. So he's a different kind of cat. So, hey, when you guys need somebody to help you out with the Packers before the Super Bowl, because that's where they're going to be, you guys give me a call.
All right, you can bet on that. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Hey, thank you, Tim. I appreciate the call. Take care. Man, I didn't know. I mean, I thought Bengals fans were sensitive, but at least sensitive Packers fans, they have a good team.
Got a great quarterback. Got a Hall of Fame quarterback.
One Super Bowl.
Here you go.
I'm just saying, the greats have more than one.
Is Drew Brees great?
Yep.
He only got one.
He got screwed over a couple times in the playoffs. I mean, what? I mean, that's why. His team got screwed over so bad they had to change the entire rule. Then they went back to it the next year. But
and then he threw that duck interception.
If the NFL playoffs started today, the Packers would be the 1 seed in the NFC. In the AFC, of course, the Chiefs. If the playoffs started today, the current playoff picture, for those of you watching live on Facebook, you can catch us here. The Browns would they would be at Buffalo. The Ravens would be at the Steelers, and the Dolphins would be at the Titans. That would be your AFC playoff picture. The NFC playoff picture would feature the Green Bay Packers being the 1 seed, Kev, of course, but the Bears at the Saints. You would have the Rams at the Seahawks, and then Washington somehow, someway would be hosting the Buccaneers. But how about that? Cowboys have a shot.
I saw that. They won 4 in a row, right?
Andy Dandy, man.
Man, how about that, man? How about that? If the Cowboys make
and he's leading them there. Andy Dalton's doing it. I thought he was the problem in Cincinnati, and look at him leading the Cowboys, the NFC least, baby.
Man, the Cowboys could be 7-9 in the playoffs.
People are just mad because he's leading that bad team to the playoffs, and he couldn't lead their bad team to the playoffs. Well, he did 5 straight times, but after that, you see my point.
No, they were good when he was going. They were winning 10+ games. He's about to take a team that only wins 7 games to the playoffs. How about that?
And a host. You like that? Andy Dalton versus Tom Brady, first round. How about that? All right, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. Cassius on Facebook says, love the show. Finally commenting, y'all stay at it. So there you go. And then
appreciate it.
Mark, I'm assuming this is the marker. All in fun, guys. Love the show. Good luck. Full squad Browns against the Steelers. All right, everyone out there, all you next man up mentality people, I don't want to hear when the Browns beat the Steelers this week. It's a good win no matter what, because I don't care if you benching guys, because apparently we're supposed to have just as many Pro Bowlers waiting behind these guys as what there is in the starting line. I'm just saying. Kev's rules, not mine. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Getting a live Christmas tree to plant after the holidays? Well, here are some tips. In the house, keep it away from heat sources that could wake it up out of dormancy. You don't want that. Dig your hole now before the ground freezes. Or if you plan to wait till spring, you need to protect roots from extreme cold with mulch or straw. And move it from the warm house to an unheated area like a garage temporarily to make the transition outside more gentle. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from the Ohio chapter of the International Society of Arboriculture at treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Fever is a leading symptom of the coronavirus, so take your temperature twice a day with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It's quick and easy to use, and its accuracy is backed by more than 80 clinical studies. Have your family start and end their day with the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses. Your family can take their temperatures in seconds to know where they stand in the fight against COVID-19. Protect your family from the spread of this deadly disease and stay safe with Exergen.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
Sports injury, low back pain, or are you interested in improving your performance and getting to the next level? Orion Sports Medicine is truly a unique sports medicine and physical therapy clinic and training facility. We offer a highly educated staff that has experience working with athletes from the recreational and youth levels to elite professionals. We offer services that include PT, functional assessment, wellness, fitness, return to sport, sports performance, strength and conditioning, speed and agility training, all at our state-of-the-art facility in Miamisburg. For more information on Orion Sports Medicine, visit orionsportsmedicine.com.
My name is Cade Courtley, and this is my new show, Can You Survive This Podcast? I'll be drawing on my years as a former Navy SEAL platoon commander, sniper, and CIA contractor. The show is designed to teach you techniques that will increase your chances of survival if you happen to find yourself or your family in any life-threatening disaster scenario imaginable. Subscribe and listen for free on Spotify. Can You Survive This Podcast?
It's It's the most wonderful time of the year, and though this year may look different than others, we are reminded of what matters most. Family, friends, our wonderful guests, and dedicated team members who have been on the front lines this past year. We are forever grateful for all of your support. This holiday season, for every $50 you purchase in Roosters gift cards, you will receive a $10 Roosters bonus box to treat yourself or pay it forward. From all of us here at Roosters, we wish you a very safe and healthy holiday season.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Make sure your family doesn't have a fever by taking their temperatures both before dinner and in the morning. Stay safe with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the #1 preferred thermometer of pediatricians.
O'Reilly. This is Jesse's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
As a nurse, not making it to work was not an option. But driving through the snow with my wiper blades struggling, I just didn't feel safe. So I pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts, and before I knew it, an employee was offering to install the wiper blades on my car. I got to stay out of the snow for a moment, and I still made it to work on time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
New year, new job, new pay rates. Ritz Hall North America LLC in Urbana has immediate openings seeking experienced assembly operators, welders, machine operators, paint unloaders, and paint loaders. Ritz Hall offers a minimum starting wage of $15.30 per hour with a $1 shift differential for second and third shifts, monthly attendance bonus, and benefits starting on the first of the month after hire. If interested, please email Katie McKee your resume at mckee.k@ritzhall.us. Ritz Hall is proud to be an affirmative action and equal opportunity employer.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems. Listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
The holidays are here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked with the newest seasonal refreshments, and they're going fast. Pick up your specialty beers before they're gone. Rob's Beer Barn has you covered for all your gatherings with ice-cold refreshments, craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wines, snacks, and ice. Rob's has it all, and for last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stop in and visit Rob's and stock up today. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ripple Road at Darst, just a mile east of the Green. Rob's Beer Barn. Look for the beaver.
Everyone's temperatures vary throughout the day, so it's important that you screen for fever in the morning and in the evening. Fever is a sign of COVID-19, so stay safe with the Exergen Temporal Scanner.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now. Good luck. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash, back with you here. Hour 2 with the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash on Dayton's ESPN radio station. Listen, stream, and now watch all of ESPN Dayton's local shows can be heard right here on 1410 ESPN Radio, streamed at wingam.com, and now you can watch them all live on Facebook. Search ESPN Dayton and the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. All right, this Friday night, the Sugar Bowl, Ohio State and Clemson. Again, the college football playoffs are finally here, and for those of you staying in, and of course we all should be if you're staying inside this weekend watching the Ohio State Buckeyes take on Clemson. Order in. How about Frickers? Feed the whole frickin' family with the family feast. Includes your choice of one of the following. You can get 50 boneless wings, 4 pounds of barbecue pulled pork and buns, 50 traditional wings, or 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks. Should feed about 4 to 6 people. Now, I like how it says 4 to 6, because if it's 4 people that eat like me, it's only 4 people. But if they eat a little bit, it's 6 people. But they have a lot of great carry-out specials, so make sure you take advantage of that. You can get 50 boneless wings, 2 sauces for $34.99. Keep that in mind if you're making plans this weekend and want to watch the game at home and say, but you want to have that sports bar food. I promise you, Frickers is the place to go. For dine-in, you may enjoy, of course, a lot of great drink specials as well, so keep that in mind moving forward. But a lot of great specials that you can take advantage of, especially through the Super Bowl. That's coming up around the corner as well, so keep that in mind.
And got you covered for your New Year's Eve parties and everything like that. Obviously, the big game, the Buckeyes on Saturday. Obviously, the big game for the Browns and Steelers on Sunday. Frickers is where it's at.
All right. So, by the way, we got these if you're watching live on Facebook. It's upside down. Act like I've done this before. There you go. We got a shipment of ESPN Dayton face masks, of course. So if you would like one, here's how you do it. You head to Facebook, you search The Justin Kinner Show, you like and follow along. When you find the show on Facebook, you have to share it. The second you share it, you are automatically entered into the drawing to win these face masks. We're going to be giving away quite a few of these, so make sure you go right now. If you're watching live on Facebook, here it is. Look, I haven't put it on for – there you go. But yes, the ESPN 1410 Wing AM face masks, we're giving those away. Head to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show, like and follow along. When you hit the share button, your name will automatically be entered into the random drawing to win these. Again, we'll be having multiple opportunities to do this, but take advantage of this right now. Head to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show, like, follow along, share the page, and we'll get you an ESPN Dayton face mask. So there's that. All right, Ohio State Clemson coming up. I've been dying to talk about the college football playoffs with you now that we're back at it again for a couple days and a couple days off because of the new year, and then we'll start 2021 off the right way with just, no vacation days for a while.
Well, some of mine roll over, so you might see me, you might not.
So there's that. But no, okay, Ohio State, Clemson, finally. This is the matchup everyone wanted. There's a lot of chatter back and forth. Like, there's a lot of chatter, not just the players are keeping it at a minimum, but it's the coaches. And the pettiness, I thought, was just going towards the direction of Dabo Swinney, but Ryan Day kind of jumping in and crying foul on things that actually aren't foul in college football. Ryan Day is mad at Dabo Swinney for watching film, I guess. I'm not really sure why Ryan Day is so upset, accusing Dabo Swinney of sign stealing.
Yeah.
You know what that's called, right? Scouting.
Football.
Yeah.
Sports.
That's called watching film. You go back to the simplest of high schools. High schools will look for hand signals on the sideline. That's why you see you'll see a group of guys over here all with different hand signals, guys over here doing hand, like they're trying to, so you can't narrow it down to who's giving the signs. I have no clue. It's been all week. Dabo Swinney taking shots at Ohio State, saying that a team that has played less than 9 games has no business being in the playoff. It's not fair to those who played double the amount of games, that had double the amount of opportunity to lose. Whether you agree with them or not, it's a fair take to have. And not to be fair to Dabo, I hate saying to be fair, but Dabo's defense, He's been saying that even before they drew Ohio State in the college football playoff. It's not as if this is just being done, but he is staying consistent. And then Ryan Day comes out and he hides it within this quote, and I'll pull the quote up in a moment. But again, I just find it odd. Like, it's the coaches taking shots at one another. And that, to me, from a fan's perspective, I love it, Kev, because I know these two teams hate each other. Like, by the way, Ohio State, Michigan is the rivalry. I get it. It is flatlined right now. It's stale. I think that it is a rivalry, but I think its rivalry status is kind of on pause right now. Like, it just doesn't feel like, oh, let's be honest. Like, maybe to you it does. To me, when we get to Michigan week, I just feel like we're trying to get really ramped up for a team that we know is just not going to test Ohio State right now. And yes, anything can happen, and I'm not trying to get into that conversation, but this feels different. This feels like what Ohio State, Michigan used to feel like. You could feel the hatred between these two teams. You could feel the dislike between the two coaches. The fan bases hate one another. And the reason that this is boiled up to this point is because they're both at the same level. They're both competing for the same things. That's why I believe Michigan and Ohio State, and no one will agree with me, I'm in the minority on this big time. I feel like that has taken such a huge step backwards because both teams are not competing for the same things. Michigan may want the same things, but they're not competing for the same things. They're wanting what Ohio State is wanting and competing for on a daily basis, and Michigan is hoping to get to that point. But Clemson and Ohio State are on equal playing ground. Clemson has the edge because Ohio State's never beat them. Dabo Swinney has multiple national championships. Ryan Day's only in year 2, but these two teams are equal. They're equal on the recruiting trail. They're equal talent-wise on the field. 2-star quarterbacks, a chance to get to the championship game to take on Nick Saban in Alabama. This is awesome. This is awesome. Like, I love this. I told you before, I can't tell you the last time there was a regular season game where I was like nervous about. But this game last year, I feel the way I did last year. In fact, this year it feels even bigger just because they lost last year, because it's the same two quarterbacks, because it's the same two coaches, two of the top 4 teams. This is awesome. I love everything about this heading into this matchup on Friday. I cannot wait.
I would encourage everybody to go to si.com and read an article from Pat Forty. It's titled "Follow the Signs: How Clemson Football Mastered the Totally Legal Art of Sign Stealing." It talks about how Brent Venables and their defensive coordinator, and
he turned down the Auburn job. Like, a lot of people want him.
Yeah, he, him and their staff, they built a juggernaut, and part of that is based off of stealing signs. There's a great breakdown of how in last year's game versus Clemson, Ohio State, in the first 8 drives, how many yards they put up and how many points they put up and everything like that. And then on their next 8 drives, about the difference and everything like that. And they're equating that to basically Clemson legally stealing signs. I think back to the last BCS championship game where Florida State played Auburn, and Florida State's former quarterback coach was a coach at Auburn. And in the first half, good old Jimbo Fisher didn't change up his signs, and they were stealing all the signs, and Florida State's offense couldn't move the ball. And then they decided to do the old towel thing to cover up their signs.
Throwing it in?
Yeah. No, that was in the Oregon game next year. They put up the towels, and then boom, their offense started clicking because they weren't able to steal signs. Sign stealing is a part of the game. Sign stealing has been a part of baseball, football, for the longest time. Obviously, the biggest thing that we talk about with sign stealing is, the Patriots videotaping stuff, and then goes to baseball with the, stealing signs that trash way with videotapes and trash cans like this. Those are two totally different things, in my opinion. When you steal signs with your eyes and you decode the information and everything like that versus videotaping somebody and taking it down to your basement and crunching numbers and doing everything like that, it's legal. We just got to do a better, if that's what Clemson is doing, we just got to do a better job of disguising our plays, a better way of signaling our plays in, because if everybody knows this, 1, why aren't we doing it? 2, do a better job of disguising.
It's petty. Why? I'm not going in on Ryan Day, but that's petty to bring that up. It was very passive aggressive. It was very weird.
Oh yeah,
it's petty. You're mad. There's a lot of things you could say about Dabo. Dabo makes it easy. He has given you this last 30 to 65 days. There's a lot of things he has said and done. Football related and not related. There's a lot of things you could use against him, but him having a defensive coordinator that has mastered the art of But again, scouting, all right, scouting and watching film and having that down, that's just weird. Like it's petty to me. But all I'm saying is that
That's what we're here for. We're here for the petty.
Yeah. And by the way, petty is great. I know people say, I just like a good respectable. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, we like the petty. We don't like we don't want it personal. All right. It's football related. Dabo is pissing Buckeye fans off because he has him at number 11 on his football poll. Ryan Day is making comments because he doesn't like how they steal signs on this. It's all football. They're not getting in front of each other's kids, family, nothing like that. It's a good, respectable back and forth. Yeah. But this is fun. I love everything about it. Like this is pretty cool. But I talked about this yesterday without you, and I'm curious your thoughts. This is a ginormous game for Ryan Day. This is a bigger game for Ryan Day than Dabo Swinney. Like Dabo Swinney, if you think back to this last decade, hate him or love him, whatever it is, like what he has done is pretty damn impressive. He is in the last decade, he is 2-0 against Urban Meyer. He's 1-0 against Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. He's 2-2 against Nick Saban and Alabama with 2 national championships. Like the dude has outcoached and beat the best in college football today. It's easy to say Nick Saban's the best because he has the hardware to prove it. He's been doing it longer, but I mean, it's 1A and 1B at this point. And if Dabo Swinney beats Ryan Day on Friday, it is 1A and 1AA. I don't know how him and Nick are on the same plateau at that point. Hate him or love him. But this is a big deal for Ryan Day. Ryan Day, I know it's only year 2, year and a half technically. You only got, conference games in and a limited conference schedule at that. But he doesn't have a marquee win on his schedule. Of course, Michigan's always a big win. And through no fault of his own, non-conference wiped out. And would have had Oregon on the schedule this year. I don't know how things would have shaped up to see how big a win that would have been, but it's a huge non-conference win. You need those. But this is big. There's no hot seat talk here. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not trying to stir the pot and say Ryan Day's in trouble. I'm not. But if you're Ryan Day from an ego perspective, you need to beat Dabo Swinney. You can't be 0-2 against Dabo Swinney because Ryan Day has done. I had so many doubts about Ohio State taking a step back when Urban left because I was like, no matter how good Ryan Day is, Urban Meyer is one of the best of all time. You're not just going to come in and keep it going the way Urban had it. You just not, and he has. So there's no doubt about it. But from a perception standpoint, he has to beat Dabo on Friday. Ryan Day cannot be 0-2 against Dabo Swinney when you are trying to convince, maybe not your own fan base because they're going to believe in you no matter what, but when you're trying to convince the committee, you're trying to convince other conferences, other doubters, other fan, when you're trying to convince that Ohio State is Alabama and Clemson, you can't be 0-2. They're already 0-4, but you can't be 0-3 in this past decade against this team that you are trying to go up against. This is a huge game on Friday, bigger to me than just a college football playoff matchup. It's selfishly a big game for Ryan Day.
Huge game. In this iteration of college football, it is Clemson and Alabama at the top. It's a slight drop off Ohio State, and then there's a major drop off to everybody else. That's it. In the BCS era, there was, Bama, maybe Oklahoma. But basically, it was Bama, drop off, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida State, major drop off.
And you have your LSU's Auburn would sneak in for 1 year.
But I mean, in the grand scope of things. So there's no question. I think everybody can agree that Ohio State is a slight step behind them, and that's no diss.
It's going to be taken as a diss. You just angered a lot of people.
That's a fact, though. I mean, you look at what happens on the field, and this is a fact. In this current iteration of college football, these last 5 years or whatever, they're on top, and there's no problem with that. As far as the game is concerned, with Coach Day versus Dabo, this is huge. It is huge. We're not just playing for the national title. We're not just playing for respect of the Big Ten. We're not just playing for respect of Ohio State University. We're not just playing for recruits. This is everything. Let's not get it mistaken. The sole reason the Big Ten came back to play football is for Ohio State. The sole reason Ohio State was in the Big Ten championship is because the Big Ten wanted them there. There's been everything laid out for Ohio State to do what they need to do, which is win this game, and not only win this game, win a national championship. So everything is lined up for them to do it. They've made the Big Ten did the right thing by putting them in the Big Ten championship game. Now they have to come through. As far as Coach Day is concerned, yes, it's, year 1.5 or whatever you want to say. I agree there. It's a huge game for him because you don't want to go down 0-2. Now, me on the personal side, I think that these games inside the Big Ten, winning the Big Ten championship game, I deem those big games as well. You differ. That's fine. But we definitely agree these games are bigger stage, the stage where everybody's watching.
Yep.
Big Ten championship, everybody's not watching that game. A lot more people are, but not everybody's watching the game. On Friday, everybody's going to be hungover from Thursday night watching the Bama Notre Dame game, the appetizer, halfway paying attention to that game. But everybody is watching Clemson, Ohio State matchup. And it is vital not only for Ryan Day to win this game, but for the Buckeyes to win this game. Think about Justin Fields. Think about that game he just had in the Big Ten championship game. Think about this performance that he had against Indiana. Yep. So the two teams that he played that were ranked opponents, he didn't play good football. So he's not only playing for himself, the Buckeyes, and win a national championship, he's playing for his future. This is the film that the NFL scouts are going to look at. He needs to have a big game. And for Coach Day to cement himself as like the new guy on the block and to, be that third guy, he has to win this game. And I've been saying it from jump. They got to win the national championship or this was a waste of time for everybody.
Yeah. And in that, there's 3 of the 4 teams have championship or bust expectations. I feel like the only team that can lose this weekend and it just be, well, we had a great year. We got to the playoff. That's great. Notre Dame, that's it. And that's not a slight at them, but that's the reality of it because they're a good football team, but I don't think they're not better than Alabama. They've beat Clemson. I think they've proven they could be as good as Clemson, but they're not. I mean, look, Clemson, it's who you are right now. Big picture, yes, you could sit there and hold how they, they beat them months and months ago, but it's kind of who you are right now at championship time. And Clemson just proved they're that much better. Ohio State, when I talk about who you are right now, the problem is we're going to do the confidence meter game in a bit on a scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you? I mean, confidence for Ohio State, it's wearing a little bit. Yesterday, I asked the listeners how confident are they. I got a lot of 6s and a lot of 7s. There was a lot of 5s and 6s, a lot of in-betweens, because the last thing you see is what you remember. That's why it's important that the Big Ten changes their Big Ten championship format, by the way, but that's the conversation for later. So my point is this. This is not a shot at Ryan Day. I think that every coach has been in this situation. I mean, there was the second time around after Dabo lost to Nick Saban the first time. The second time, Dabo was like, selfishly, I got to win this game. I got to prove that I'm right up there with Nick Saban. And he did. And he's beat him twice. And he's beat Urban Meyer twice. He's beat Ryan Day once. Nick Saban at a certain point in his career was trying to be the next big thing, the next best coach. So Ryan Day's at that point now. That's not a shot. He's super young. I'm not taking a shot at Ryan Day. People are getting super upset. Relax, folks. Ryan Day is 2 years into this. Mm-hmm. But 2 years into this, you cannot be 0-2 against Dabo Swinney. You just can't. Now, what does it mean, big picture, if that happens? Doesn't mean anything. The seat's not warm. No one's looking to get rid of you. You're still going to keep recruiting. You're still the Ohio State. But big picture, when you want to talk about where you fall, big picture in the college football landscape, it's going to be tough to sit there and say, well, it's a Bama, Clemson, Ohio State world, and everybody else is a part of it. I don't know if you're a part of that world if you can't beat Clemson, because the only 2 teams that have just been dominating college football for the past decade, it's been the Tigers, and it's been the Roll Tide guys over there. Just throwing that out there.
It's a huge game, man. It's going to be a highly entertaining game. I'm expecting more of what we got last year, man. I think this game is going to come down to the wire. It's going to be highly entertaining. This is what, you like to have those knots in your stomach before a game. You don't get those too often, especially watching Ohio State football. You and I, we talk about this all the time where, by halftime, we're turning it off. Yep.
You're not a real fan.
No, man, I'm here to be entertained, man.
Are you not entertained?
I'm here for my team to win and to be entertained. And once my team has got this game in the bag, I'm turning to another game. But this game is huge, man, and I can't wait for it. I mean, there's so many things we can break down from, all right, the Clemson's offensive line isn't what it was last year. But guess what? Our defensive line isn't what it was last year. But you know what? Our interior is better than it was last year. So can we shut down the run? Is Baron Browning going to be able to hang with Travis Etienne coming out the backfield on those swing routes? All right, man, Travis Etienne, you know, he hasn't had those big lanes. Can we stop him? All right, hey, man, can our DBs hang with their wide receivers? Who's going to guard old buddy in the slot? Like, are they going to move Shaun Wade back to the slot? It's so many things we can dissect about this game, and I'm here for it, and I can't wait for this game.
Well, the thing I'm most excited about is, by the way, do you believe Shaun Wade had a good year?
No.
He got every award imaginable. He got AP
Rep award. It's a rep award.
And by the way, I'm not bashing him here, but I'm nervous about, like, I'm curious. Every good quarterback that the Buckeyes faced this year did not throw to the opposite side of the field. They didn't throw away from him. They threw at him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't scare anybody. So we keep talking about, Shaun Wade's going to have it locked down in the secondary. I'm curious, Trevor Lawrence's and Dabo Swinney's approach to this. It's a well-balanced offense for Clemson. I'm really the matchup I'm most intrigued by. It's not the receiver in Shaun Wade. It's Trevor Lawrence and Shaun Wade. We're going to learn a lot about Shaun Wade. Can make up a ton of ground that he lost this year by coming back. Unfortunately, that is the part about him I feel the worst for, because he had opted out. Everyone beat up on him, and then he comes back. And he was right for probably opting out, because this wasn't your typical season. It wasn't your typical prep for the year. It looks like he took a step back, and it's the reality of it. Quarterbacks did not fear him. They attacked him. I mean, I think back to the Indiana game. Every time that he dropped back, they threw to that left side of the field. The Penn State game, they threw to the left side of the field. The same thing happened in Northwestern. They were not afraid of him. I'm just curious. Trevor, those quarterbacks were good. Don't get me wrong, but Trevor Lawrence is another level. I'm curious. That matchup right there is going to be interesting.
Oh, it's everything. It's kind of why I brought up the fact that maybe, okay, their best receiver is a slot receiver. So do you put your best corner who played slot last year, who played that position outstanding last year, do you throw him back in the slot, and then you throw Williamson on the outside versus less experienced receivers? You know, they have a freshman receiver. He's a big, tall, lanky receiver, just like all of them that Clemson has, but he's a freshman. Do you put Williamson out there on the island versus him, or do you let Seven Banks deal with him? Because they're going to be going to the slot. Because you think about the play that really opened things up for Clemson last year on that last drive. It was a 98-yard drive that they ended up winning the game on. It was I'm drawing a blank on his name for some reason. Anyway, their slot receiver, he was able to get open behind the linebackers and Proctor, because Proctor started playing the slot. He was able to get open. That sparked it, and then a little pop pass to Etienne to basically win the game. So I'm very anxious to see where they're going to put Shaun Wade. I really thought that they should have been using Shaun Wade all over the field this year. I know he wants to be a cornerback in the NFL, and cornerbacks get paid a lot more money than safeties in the league. Well, we need to win the game. Winning the game is more important than someone's draft stock. So I say use Shaun Wade like he did last year, move him all over the place like a chess piece. And to be perfectly honest, that's where he made the most plays. He was a playmaker then. This year, he's just a cover corner, but he was a playmaker last year. You know, he was out here at big hits, interceptions, blitzing off the edge, all types of stuff. I think we should use him as the playmaker that he's shown himself to be.
Yeah, and to be fair, his role completely changed. You don't have Chase Young disrupting the passing game of the opponent, okay? You also don't have Jeff Okudah on the opposite side. So, that's the other thing. We're looking at Shaun Wade only right now.
Right.
Good secondary guys, but Shaun Wade's the face of it.
Right.
But he also doesn't have that Jeff Okudah to help him out.
He got all the Okudah's awards from last year.
So, and so that's the thing. Like the secondary is not as good as it was a year ago. The pass rush isn't as good, but they're still really good.
Yes.
That's just how good they were a year ago.
Yes.
But it looks different because of that. The schemes are different because, hey, you don't have Chase Young disrupting every time a quarterback drops back. So there's that. All right, let's open up the phone lines. 457-9464. We're going to step away. Let's continue talking and previewing the Sugar Bowl coming up. The other thing to keep in mind, Clemson versus the run. Ohio State, we keep looking at this Ohio State team since Ryan Day took over, and we're like, this is a big-time flashy offense. Sometimes less is more. And I think the Buckeyes' approach to Friday needs to be less is more. More run,
ball, baby!
More run and less air it out, unless it's presented there. But what I have not liked about Ohio State's attack over the last month and a half has been they're going to force that down the field attack, whether it's there or not, and it's hurt Justin Fields' big picture. All I'm saying, it better not take 2.5 quarters for Ryan Day to figure out that, our running backs are pretty good. They're not J.K. Dobbins, but, we only have a guy that set a single game record. I think, Trey Sermon, good for him, by the way. Well, let's talk about that. 457-9464. Buckeye fans, what are you most concerned about heading into Friday? We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
We have sunny skies today with a high of 37 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 33 degrees. And for your midweek Wednesday, rain is predicted, but a high of 51 degrees. And I'm Lorna Stevens for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Right now, Allstate has almost as many ways to save as there are types of music. Save for being a new customer. Save for driving safely. Save for driving less with pay-per-mile insurance. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent to get a quote. Find out how much you can save today. Allstate. Now that should be music to your ears.
Not available in every state. Savings based on early signing, discount drive-bys, and mile wise. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois. If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
I like a bed that's really firm.
I need something a little softer than that. Rest easy. With the Sleep Number 360 smart bed, you can both adjust your comfort with your Sleep Number setting.
Can it really help me fall asleep faster?
Yes, by gently warming your feet. Okay, but can it help keep us asleep? It senses your movements and automatically adjusts to keep you effortlessly comfortable. Sleep Number, proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss our New Year's special. The Queen Sleep Number 360 C2 smart bed is only $8.99, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Sales are rising quickly, but without another lead baker, Dale's Bakery is going to feel the heat.
Hey, you're baking alone today. I have to handle this order for the restaurant down the street. Cool, but who's going to handle the pastries?
He needs to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Sam, back from your date so soon?
It didn't exactly go well. I really struggle with communication, trust, lack of commitment. At this rate, I'll be a single mom forever.
Maybe you should check out if you qualify for the free classes offered at Marriage Works Ohio. They have TANF funds for people over 18 with a child at home or pregnant. You may qualify as a single mom. They help married couples and singles with healthy relationship classes, including topics like dating. Go to trustmarriage.com or call 937-262-7010 to register.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
A sports injury, low back pain, or are you interested in improving your performance and getting to the next level? Orion Sports Medicine is truly a unique sports medicine and physical therapy clinic and training facility. We offer a highly educated staff that has experience working with athletes from the recreational and youth levels to elite professionals. We offer services that include PT, functional assessment, wellness, fitness, return to sport, sports performance, strength and conditioning, speed and agility training, all at our state-of-the-art facility in Miamisburg. For more information on Orion Sports Medicine, visit orionsportsmedicine.com.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investinggoals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
What's hot for business this week at Staples?
Small prices, big savings.
Help your business go big with amazing prices on great tech, plus the services to help set up and protect your new PC.
And now, during Staples PC clearance event, save up to $180 on select Lenovo PCs, like the Flex 2-in-1 laptop with Intel i5 processor.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside. And visit staples.com/protection to learn about keeping your computer safe.
Ends 1/2/21 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
Make sure your family doesn't have a fever by taking their temperatures both before dinner and in the morning. Stay safe with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the #1 preferred thermometer of pediatricians.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Every Thursday night, we have an entire hour dedicated to Dayton Flyers men's basketball. It's Talking Out Loud with Sully, Thursday nights at 6 p.m. You can also subscribe and download the Talking Out Loud podcast wherever you get your podcast. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 Wing AM. Ohio State Clemson Sugar Bowl Friday night, 6 o'clock is when coverage begins. 8 o'clock to kick off. And as I mentioned earlier, and of course, you can't say anything that remotely sounds like you're criticizing the Buckeyes without being labeled a hater. And I promise that's not what this is. This is real talk. Like, we're talking legacy stuff here. Yeah. Like, this is going to be the game that, like, because let's be clear, Ryan Day has done everything that you have asked him to do since taking over for Urban Meyer and then some. Because we knew, like, there was actually a lot of chatter when Ryan Day took over for Urban Meyer. Ryan Day immediately got the love of, he's actually a better X's and O's guy than Urban Meyer. Yes, and so he had that. The doubt on Ryan Day was, but can he recruit like Urban Meyer? And I doubt it. I said, I think he's going to recruit well because Ohio State sells itself. Recent success is going to, in big picture history is going to sell it too. But no, he's gone above and beyond. You could even argue that, he's been able to master a lot of positions that Urban was never able to. You look at what he's doing at quarterback, at wide receiver, getting those guys in there. And again, the coaching staff helps, but it's selecting the right guys to continue on. Like, he's done a fantastic job. But part of that, too, is complimenting the great coaches in college football. There's a lot of great football minds in college football. Right. They're not the best recruiters. Right. There's a lot of good recruiters in college football, not the best football minds. Ryan Day has great football mind. He has a great recruiting staff. He's kicking ass there. But now you got to put that together, and you got to start now rolling with the big boys. And right. I know Byers got mad at me the other day. He goes, "They are the big." I'm like, relax. I get that, but like Ryan Day, it's a new ball game. It's a new ball game right now. It's the Ryan Day era. You're 2 years into this thing, which, by the way, great start. Recruiting's kicking ass. 2 Big Ten championships, 2 college football playoff appearances. But all we're going to remember is the last game. And if the last memory we have is Ryan Day again, it's Buckeyes losing to Dabo Swinney and Clemson, that's not the end of the world. Seat's not getting warm. I'm not going in that direction. But big picture, we need Ryan Day. You as Buckeye fans, you need Ryan Day to continue. You want people to stop talking smack. You want people to stop taking shots at Ohio State. Shut them up. We get a win on Friday night. Say, I don't care. We don't play 7 games. Right. The 8th game, we got a W over you and sent you home. next. Like, that needs to be the approach for the Buckeyes, and I think it will be. But Ryan Day, this is a huge game for him, and that's what we've been spending time talking about now.
Yeah, we need Coach Day to be dialed into one of those zones that he was in the first half of last year's game. Like, we talk about zones about, basketball, like Steph Curry, LeBron, and they're in the zone. They're knocking down shots from all over the place. And then when I talked to Keith Byers about what it's like to be in the zone when he, back in the day, set the all-time leading rushing record for the Buckeyes, and how, Trey Sermon was in the zone when he set up that 333. We need Coach Day to be in the zone play call. We need him really in his bag, dialing up the plays and clicking on all cylinders, not only for himself, but obviously for the team to win this football game. And there's no question that there's levels to this. And, he's a second-year head coach, so he's learning on the job. Urban Meyer, when the time he got to Ohio State, he had already coached at Bowling Green for a couple of years, coached at Utah for a couple of years, coached at Florida for a couple of years, won a national title at Florida, then came to Ohio State. So this is on his fourth head coaching job. So he has a lot under his belt. He has a lot of experience to pull from. The biggest thing about Urban Meyer that everybody knows about is he is a people's person. He knows how to scout talent, find talent, not only talent on the football field, but talented coaches to coach his players, and these are things that Coach Day is learning to do right now. Yeah. So, you talk about X's and O's guy. Obviously, he's a great X's and O's guy. Look at another guy, Lincoln Riley. He's a great X's and O's guy, but he still hasn't been able to turn the key to get that Oklahoma defense fixed. You can look at another guy like Lane Kiffin. He's a great offensive mind, but he hasn't been able to turn the key to be able to schmooze and rub.
Smart.
He's a great defensive mind. So it takes a lot. This isn't easy, and nobody really wants things to be. Well, I guess people do want things to be easy, but winning the national championship, winning the Super Bowl, winning the NBA title, winning the NHL title, winning the World Series, it's not going to be easy. But we depend on these coaches, especially in the college ranks, to turn the keys to make these things happen. And this is a huge game for Coach Day. And he knows that. He's no fool. He's a smart dude. He knows what's at stake in this game. It's more than just a spot in the championship game. This is, like you said, this is legacy building.
And if we see it, recruits see it.
Facts.
And the reason this is a big deal, like these head-to-head matchups are so much bigger than just, it's a battle of the heavyweights. Because go look at, and again, Ohio State has no problem getting recruits. Right. I'm not saying they're going to take a recruiting hit, but when you got the fringe guys who are down to their final three, how many fringe guys out there? How many fringe guys out there have Clemson, Dabo Swinney, Ohio State, Ryan Day as part of their final grouping?
Yeah, they all got Bam. The top guys, they all got Bama, Ohio State.
Yeah, and they're fans too. We have these athletes are just robots, in that it's just they're going to spin a little lever and wherever it ends up, that's where they go. No, they're watching as fans, but they're also watching as, can I see myself playing there? And when they see Ryan Day's head down walking off the field and Dabo Swinney with smiles walking off, guess what? That's a lasting impression. You can laugh at me all you want and say that doesn't matter. It matters. I'm not saying it's a tipping point and that all of a sudden all these guys are going to leave Ohio. No, that's not what I'm saying. But it does have a lasting impression when you are constantly seeing the Clemson beat Ohio State. They're 4-0, which that covers decades. But this past decade, beat Urban Meyer in the Orange Bowl in 2013 before the playoff.
Yeah, I really only think that the current recruits care about last year and this year's game. Like, they're not thinking about back in, what was it, 81?
84, was it? No, the Woody Hayes game.
Yeah, they're not thinking about that. They weren't alive. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, those kids were probably like in elementary school when Clemson beat Ohio State in the Orange Bowl that year. So those games really don't matter. I know it is good for talking and it's good for trash talk to say like, Clemson never beat Ohio State. You probably bring up the 31-0 game and whatever. You can probably bring up that game and they probably have memories from those games. But I think those games don't really matter. I think last year's game and this year's game truly matters about recruiting and everything like that. And there's no question Coach Day knows how important this game is. He doesn't need you and I or the fan base out there telling them or hitting them up on Twitter, hey, man, Coach, you got to win this game. No bleep, I got to win this game. I want it. Trust me, I think he wants it more than anybody. This is Ohio. Like, his first head coaching job is at Ohio State. Think about that. Urban Meyer had to go to BG. Shouts out to my BG Falcons. Then he had to go to Utah. Then he had to go to Florida. Then Ohio State. Like, he's at Ohio State, his very first job. You don't go any higher than this. This is This is a big dog program. The only place you can go now is to the NFL. There's nowhere else to go.
You're not looking to go anywhere.
Right.
You're looking to stay.
Right.
And sometimes looking to stay is more difficult than moving up because you can go to the MAC. You can go to those schools and build up programs and improve your resume.
Right.
Your resume is so impressive as an offensive coordinator and play caller and just a people guy, just being a good person. That resume is through the roof. But you're not really building your resume anymore. You're sustaining it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a big deal. And Ryan Day and there's a lot of Lincoln Riley. Those two, they're going to be. We're going to look at those two for a while because there's not a lot of other. I mean, Kirby Smart had to work his way up.
Yep.
Dabo worked his way up. Saban worked his way up. Urban worked his way up. All the great coaches had to work the way up. I'm sure I'm missing an obvious one. Is there a coach out there that we can say that's Ryan Day, that's Lincoln Riley? They're the first. I'm probably missing out. There's people screaming at the car saying this guy's an idiot. But I can't think of a coach that has just taken over a program without moving up. And again, you're going to say, well, Ryan Day's moved up. Well, he's come up through the, whatever. But I just mean smaller program.
Being a head coach at a smaller program, and then getting the keys to a big. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody that hasn't had to, be a wide receiver coach, OC, head coach at name your MAC school. Then
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess Larry Coker back down in Miami, like he was like a guy on the Miami staff. And then when I can't remember his name, Butch Jones went to coach the Browns. He took over. They won a national championship over Nebraska, and then lost to Ohio State the following year. Like that's the only one off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's plenty of other guys. But
I mean, you have Herm Edwards, who took a different route. Did he coach at the college level ever?
I don't believe so.
So that's a different route. Like Herm Edwards is an interesting one to me. You have Marvin Lewis, who left the pros, of course, and not left. I mean, he got fired from the Bengals and took a year off now when defensive coordinator with Arizona State under Herm Edwards, and now is rumored to take a coaching job most likely in the NFL coming up. But no, Ryan Day, there is no. We're probably missing an obvious one, but I can't think of a guy out there. Harbaugh's another interesting one too, but he had coached in college before and moved up.
San Diego State.
So he has moved. Okay. But no, Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley, those two are going to change. Those two are going to be looked at as changing the game as far as your path to taking over a big program. And what they do with it is going to be key, because if they don't succeed, and Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley, how many Heisman trophies, Heisman Trophy guys has Lincoln Riley coached? How many playoff appearances for Lincoln Riley? Same thing with Ryan Day in the early going. Bottom line is, we're not stirring anything up. There's no hot seat, warm seat, but this is big boy football. This isn't, if we're going to have a team like Cincinnati in this big picture here, their ceiling is winning their conference and getting a New Year's Day bowl game. That's, good for that. That's not on the coach. That is just on the plateau of the program for right now with where they're at in the conference. With Ohio State, it's much different. And that's why with Luke Fickell, whatever job he takes next, winning your conference is not going to be the only thing that saves your job. It is going to be playoff. Like wherever he goes next, it's going to be bigger expectations. And that's the thing. Ryan Day never had to deal with just gradually building up to that. It's just coordinator, calling plays. Oh, boom. I'm responsible for anything and everything that happens with this program, from recruiting to play calling to offense to defense to special teams to everything. Everything is what we joke about. So there's
where you at with UC? They got Georgia, right?
I got Georgia on Friday, noon, kickoff. That's going to be a fun day for me. Don't talk to me on Friday.
You're unavailable?
I'm unavailable on Friday.
So what happened?
Real quick. Jimbo Fisher. Yeah. Charles Tackett asked about Jimbo Fisher. What was his call up?
Jimbo was the OC at LSU, then the OC. Yeah. So he was the OC at LSU. OC at Florida State, coaching waiting at Florida State. Bobby Bowden,
Dan Mullen.
Dan Mullen, OC at Florida, head coach at Ole Miss, then head coach at Florida.
So, I lied. The Ryan Day, this isn't the first. We're seeing it a lot, but you're seeing it a lot. But coordinators have become look how highly paid they are now. Coordinators, the reason coordinators are paid so much now is because the importance of the role that they have. That's why you look at Dabo Swinney's staff, the defensive coordinator. We just talked about him. Venables. He's getting paid $2.5 million. Yeah. He's getting paid $2.5 million as a coordinator.
Breaking news, man. He's not taking no head coaching job, man. Why would you take a head coaching job when you're making $2.5 million and all you got to do is coach defense?
Especially when he knows second Saban's at. that's probably where Dabo's going, and there you go. So like he's getting paid $2.5 million to not have all the pressure in the world on him, and he knows that Dabo's providing him all the way. I mean, like it's a. I wouldn't go to Auburn. I wouldn't go to Auburn.
No, sweetheart deal. You got a sweetheart deal, man. His kids on the team, man. You ride that out, man. You ride that out till the wheels fall off.
Charles, thank you for that, by the way. But go back to your point. So you asked about Cincinnati.
So where you at with UC? Friday night or Friday at noon, they got the Dogs down there in Georgia. They got the Georgia Dogs. What happens if they lose?
Real quick, everyone playing for Georgia. Is anyone opting out?
I haven't seen anything. Only opt out I've seen, like in the games I've been following, is one of those running backs that put up like 300 yards for North Carolina has opted out, but that's in a different bowl game. So I'm not hip on anybody really opting out right now for Georgia.
This is what I fear for Cincinnati is going to get blown out. But we also know on the flip side, winning means nothing either. Hear me out. It does mean something. It's a great deal to go and beat Georgia, to beat an SEC team, because it meant a ton to UCF. What I mean big picture is it doesn't matter what I think. When I say it doesn't matter in the eyes of the people that matter most, and that's the College Football Playoff Committee. I don't like when people say, like when UCF was winning, well, they beat Auburn, they beat these teams in the bowl games. Yeah, but that was for this season. If I'm the committee, I'm not going to say, well, remember last year they beat so-and-so. The committee's looking at the body of work from this season, so I don't buy into that. But it's important that they win on Friday, like because their fan base is talking, their athletic director's talking, Luke Fickell's talking, everyone's talking about how disrespected they are. You got to be careful with that. It's okay to embrace that underdog role of we should be there, we shouldn't be here, but we're happy to be. You got to be careful embracing that role of we're being disrespected, because if you're going to talk, you got to walk. And if they don't do the walking part on Friday, it's bad. UCF backed it up. That's why UCF got to go and hang their own national champion. They got to proclaim themselves as national champions. They got to do it their way. You can't do that if you say we're supposed to be one of the big boys and then you play one of the big boys and then get put back in your place. Like they got shut out by Ohio State a year ago. I don't care about that, but I'm just saying the most recent opportunity that program has had against one of the college football playoff caliber teams, they didn't even score. So they have to play well on Friday against Georgia. You will not hear me say, it means nothing. Georgia wasn't playing for anything. It's a building block. And when you beat Georgia, that's huge. But here's what can't happen. Like I'm already telling you now, if Luke Fickell takes another job, he is the part of the problem and not the solution to Cincinnati. He's hurt. If he takes another job elsewhere, and it's unfortunate, it's not his fault.
Reset.
I feel bad for him. But he's part of the problem at a program like Cincinnati.
Shouldn't feel bad for him. He's getting paid a lot of money.
But you see,
I'm a Luke Fickell lover.
But like he's going to take a job elsewhere, and I hope he doesn't, because he has a hell of a recruiting class coming in. And you're going to say, whoever takes over for him, it's their job to keep that recruiting class intact. I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't work like that. So I really hope my tune on Cincinnati will change over the years, but the reason I'm not buying into Cincinnati, the program, is because my opinion is always on Cincinnati, the now. And the now is just not there yet, but they're on their way to being that. But Luke Fickell has to stay. And I don't know from a resource standpoint and going through COVID and how much that's going to impact Cincinnati financially, how are they going to be able to keep him? Or be able to pay him enough to match. I remember when Archie Miller was at UD, they were willing to make him a top 10 compensated coach in the country. And, and money is not why Archie wanted to leave. There were other reasons, remember? So we're going to find out with Luke Fickell. Is it money? That's why you're taking the opportunity to leave, or is it, winning? But Archie left because he didn't think he could do what Dayton just did. Archie Miller left Dayton because he didn't think he could build a top 5 team in the country. You could have NBA caliber players. And then 2 years after he leaves, they have the number 8 pick in the NBA draft, ranked number 3 in the country, and a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament had it happen. So Luke Fickell has to be careful. The grass isn't always greener. You go to one of those Big Ten schools, ACC schools, I'm sorry, but that's not good. Auburn's not a good job. It's just not.
I think Auburn's a great job. I think Auburn's one of those jobs, especially.
It's not because of the coaching caliber in the SEC. They're just beating up on one another. And when one loss automatically eliminates you, that's tough.
I think that the Auburn job itself, especially the things that Gus Malzahn was able to accomplish at Auburn, he was able to beat Nick Saban half the time.
Yep.
And, we're Buckeyes, so we want to look at Michigan and laugh at Michigan and everything like that. But something that people can't deny is that that happened in the SEC. We can say that Bama's the big dog in the SEC. Big Ten is Ohio State. But they had trouble with their biggest rival. We don't have trouble with our biggest rival. So that's why I will always commend Malzahn, because at the very least, he was able to keep it competitive with their number one rival. I think there's a spot where they can win games. But back to UC and Coach Fickell. This game is so important. I know that bowl games now are just exhibitions, and they've technically always been exhibitions. But now that the college football playoff is here, these games don't have the luster that they once had and everything like that. But this game is so huge for them. Obviously, I'm rooting for them and everything like that. But I view this game as an opportunity not only for the players, for Coach Fickell, but for the program itself. Because I think back to Utah, back in, I want to say, the 08-09 Sugar Bowl, when Utah was undefeated and they played a 12-1 Alabama, and they beat Alabama 31-17, I believe the score was. And I mean, everybody went on, well, Alabama didn't want to be there. They wanted to play the national championship game, all that stuff. But that propelled Utah to go into the Pac-12. They were in the Mountain West then. And now they're in the Pac-12. So not only does that bring in obviously more dollars for your university and your program, but all right, now if Utah runs the table in a regular season, they're making to the playoff. So I view UC in the same type of boat. If they're able to beat Georgia under the bright lights, the big stage, and everything like that, this could propel them into one of those super conferences. Maybe the Big 12 says, hey, man, we want to go back to 12 teams. UC, you guys want to come play? Maybe that opens that door for them. So I view this game not only huge for Coach Fickell and the players, but an opportunity for them to possibly knock down that wall and break into one of the Power 5 conferences.
457-9464. We'll get to your calls coming up here on the other side of the break. Real quick to some of the Facebook reaction. Earlier talking about some of the coaches who took unusual paths to getting a head coaching job in college football. Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley are some of those. Some more coming in. Jimbo Fisher was one that we talked about. Matt Campbell was at Toledo. But that's your traditional smaller school. Adam Hill on Facebook says Tom Herman. Tom Herman got the Houston job, if you guys don't remember. I mean, Tom Herman, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Tom Herman was the OC at Iowa State and Rice. Ohio State head coach at Houston, head coach at Texas.
So, yeah, that's something to keep in mind with that. But, again, we're just trying to talk about the pressure on Ryan Day coming up. We know he's worth it. The Ohio State went all in. He hasn't had any head coaching experience elsewhere. That's why it's rare to have a program like Ohio State give a head coaching job to that's a precious job, okay? And to give it to a guy that had no head coaching experience, that was a huge gamble. It was almost disrespectful to Ryan Day. But in big picture, it's a gamble. But Day has knocked it out of the park. But he has to get a win coming up. One more Facebook reaction. Lamar says, Fickell is not part of the problem. Keep in mind earlier I said if Fickell leaves, he's part of the problem, not the solution to Cincinnati. He says Fickell is not part of the problem. The college football playoff is the problem. Recruits would go to other schools if they thought they had an opportunity to play for a title. But here's the deal to that, Lamar. And I'm looking this up for 2021 in Cincinnati, although they are rolling in recruits left and right. I mean,
that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I'm not the big recruiting guy, but what's the kid from Alter? The kid from Alter just committed to.
The name is slipping me right now. I literally just called the kid's game just a few weeks ago too.
That's huge, though. Like, that's huge, and I'm not.
And they have the number 6 recruiting class in 2022.
That's so crazy.
Recruiting rankings. Like when we talk about, well, there's no way Cincinnati's undefeated, but look at the recruiting rankings. I mean, look at their roster. I mean, coming in, these kids out of high school, whether it's fair or not, you don't have to agree with it, but it is true. They look at that roster. They look at the talent on that roster. That talent of this particular roster, although good, doesn't match up with what's fighting for those spots. But when you got the number 6 recruiting class and you follow it up with maybe a top 8, top 5, top 4, then all of a sudden 2 years from now, it's going to be no question. It's like Gonzaga. We don't sit there and question Gonzaga's ability in college basketball. Why? Because they did it consistently over time. It wasn't just Gonzaga had 2 good years and boom, they're right up there with Duke. No, it took decades of them to have that consistent success to be viewed as one of the big boys, despite not being in a big boy conference. Luke Fickell stay. Cincinnati, find a way to make it happen. Find a way. But it's going to be tough under the pandemic. I get it. Like so much financial ruin because of everything going on.
I'm with you, man. Those other jobs that, people are trying to poach him for, they're not better jobs than UC. Like, you'll be a middle of the pack team in a Power 5 conference or be the big dog in a quote unquote smaller conference. Like, I think that's something that coaches think that, like, oh man, the grass is greener on the other side, but you just don't know what that other side is like, man. You don't know what it's like to be like when Brett Bielema left Wisconsin to go to Arkansas. Are you serious, bro?
Because the brand of the SEC. He just thought naturally.
But the brand of the SEC, don't forget.
Oh, I'm not defending it.
No, I'm saying for him, the SEC, take the SEC out of it. Wisconsin is a better program than Arkansas. Yeah, they got more money because they put more money into it. But guess what? Your team would smack them. And I'm glad that Brett Bielema is back in the Big Ten at Illinois. Welcome back. Came to your senses, bro.
Illinois moving on from Lovie Smith, the after Coach of the Year.
It's tough, but I knew this was going to happen. I had to realize it was going to happen, that coaches are going to get fired during the pandemic. Like, I just had to get over that. And not like I just said before about Luke Fickell, I'm not about to feel sorry for no dude that gets paid millions of dollars. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah.
He'll be straight. Lovie Smith, he made a lot of money coaching in the NFL, coaching in college football. Go hang out with the wife and kids.
So real quick, one more time on Cincinnati. It can be done, but it can't be done overnight. Like if Luke Fickell, like I just don't understand. Like if you're Luke Fickell and you're seeing all these recruits come in, you can't look at all the recruits coming in, despite being told you're not a playoff team, no matter how good you are, and yet you're still convincing these kids in the living rooms to come play for Cincinnati. That there's something there. You have something going, and you're going to get there. Like this is just the beginning stage of it. The problem is you saw UCF do it for 2 years and not make any headway. But look, Scott Frost left after that second year.
Right.
Had Scott Frost stayed and UCF continued to have those years.
But to be fair to Scott Frost, he went home.
Yeah.
He went to Nebraska.
And has Auburn filled that position yet?
No.
I hope Fickell don't. I really hope he doesn't.
He shouldn't. He should stay at UC. I mean,
there's nothing better out there. There's not a better situation out there. Auburn sounds better.
Yeah, on paper it sounds better, but you got to look at it this way. Like you said, it's a COVID year. It's a pandemic going on. Why would you risk everything right now, like on a bunch of unknowns? Like I think this is like basically you did with last year. Like they talked to the people up at Michigan State, came to the realization like, man, I got a better team down here. Cincinnati, it's the middle of a pandemic. Probably now is not the time to go. Play this season out, see what happens. And like I said, man, I truly believe that eventually the Big 12 is going to go back to 12 teams. And you see, if you play your cards right, you can be a part of that conference.
Yeah, the problem is every time a UCF starts to build up and take a step back because the coach leaves. Cincinnati building up. And that's the nature of the beast.
Saw that when Brian Kelly left UC.
But this is why, like last year, like my tone on Luke Fickell will completely change if he comes back another year, because everyone lost their minds last year. Luke Fickell is what's great about college football. He turned down Michigan State for folks. If Michigan State had offered him the job a month earlier, if Michigan State wasn't being probed by the NCAA for all the recruiting violations, if they didn't have a black cloud following them around, Luke Fickell would probably be at Michigan State right now. Let's just be clear. So that's why I didn't give him credit. But now you saw what he was able to accomplish by coming back. A lot of positive momentum going in their favor. I really do. I really hope he comes back because I think it can be done. I just didn't think it could be done this year. But it can be done over time, and I hope he stays. All right, 457-9464. We'll be back in a moment. Head to Facebook, search The Justin Kinder Show. Jump in on the conversation there. Don't go anywhere. Hour 3 next.
Training
basis. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM.
This Christmas, experience Wonder Woman 1984 in theaters and on HBO Max the exact same day, streaming at no extra cost to HBO Max subscribers. Plus, with HBO Max, stream the greatest collection of series, movies, and exclusive Max originals all in one place. The Undoing, The Flight Attendant, and more. Go to HBOMax.com or download the app to sign up and start streaming today. Wonder Woman 1984 is rated PG-13 and is available to stream on HBO Max for 31 days from theatrical premiere.
O'Reilly. This is Jesse's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
As a nurse, not making it to work was not an option. But driving through the snow with my wiper blades struggling, I just didn't feel safe. So I pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts, and before I knew it, an employee was offering to install the wiper blades on my car. I got to stay out of the snow for a moment, and I still made it to work on time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Sports injury, low back pain, or are you interested in improving your performance and getting to the next level? Orion Sports Medicine is truly a unique sports medicine and physical therapy clinic and training facility. We offer a highly educated staff that has experience working with athletes from the recreational and youth levels to elite professionals. We offer services that include PT, functional assessment, wellness, fitness, return to sport, sports performance, strength and conditioning, speed and agility training, all at our state-of-the-art facility in Miamisburg. For more information on Orion Sports Medicine, visit orionsportsmedicine.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guarantee quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192. Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192. Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
Every home needs a reliable thermometer for twice-a-day temperature readings. Protect your family with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the only home thermometer used by hospitals, physicians, and clinics.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192. Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192. Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
Make it a new family habit to take your temperature with the Exergen Temporal Scanner before dinner and in the morning. It's the #1 thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you're going to be staying home this weekend for all the big college football games, including the playoff games, the college football playoffs, you have Ohio State and Clemson, you have Alabama, and of course Notre Dame. If you're looking for a meal idea to feed the entire family while watching the big day game, Cincinnati, Georgia at noon, think of Frickers. Feed the whole freaking family with the family feast. It includes your choice of one of the following below. You can get 50 boneless wings. You can get 4 pounds of barbecue pulled pork and buns. How about 50 traditional wings if that's that's your thing. You can also get 4 pounds of freaking chicken chunks. Should feed about 4 to 6 people. I love how they do 4 to 6 people because, like I said, some groups of 4 eat about the same amount as 6 people. You never know. But Frickers is the way to go. Again, feed a lot of people. Again, get that sports bar food, man. That's what it's all about right there. Is the wings. I love it. I mean, every Sunday morning we get the wings for the Sunday morning tailgate show at Frickers on 741. So you filled in on that.
Yeah, man. Got to see Keith get his chicken noodle soup and everything like that, man. It was real fun being out there, man. I was telling you before, like, I was nervous at first.
Nervous?
Yeah, I was nervous. You know, you drive.
You ain't gonna hurt nobody.
I know. No, but you normally drive the show. You know, you ask me questions, we just have a conversation. So it's like different between driving the show, you know, getting us in and out of breaks and everything like that. But it was fun, man. I had a real good time hanging out with Keith, previewing the Final Four for the college football playoff and previewing the NFL games. So yeah,
that happened in the middle of the show. So the Final Four for the college football playoff was released in the middle of the show. You were there a few years ago. Me and Keith laughed because I'll never forget the temper tantrum he threw years ago. And he may not like that I called it a temper tantrum, but he threw a damn temper tantrum at Frickers years ago. Now, I love Keith, but Keith, he had us convinced. I'm going to be okay no matter what the Final Four is. I'm going to trust it. And then, like, he just unleashed. I mean, he didn't even have the headset on. And we picked up everything he was saying. He was so furious. It would have been, that 2018 year?
Yeah.
When they didn't make the playoff with the year they lost to Purdue. But that was my all-time favorite memory of that Sunday show, being out there and just seeing his true, genuine reaction. Because the show, we extended the show that day just to get that. But it was much more calm this time around. I think this was the 4 we all expected. A lot of people were out there saying there's no way Notre Dame should get in. But I think we all knew Notre Dame was getting in because it was going to be a controversial number 4 no matter what. Even if Cincinnati, the feel-good story, would have got number 4, it would have been probably wrong to put Cincinnati at number 4. Feel-good story, yes, but you would have had Georgia screaming. You would have had Notre Dame screaming. Notre Dame was the right team to put in at number 4. And, you know,
I think 1, 2, 3 is obvious. 4 was very debatable. Ultimately, I think
it always is, though, to be fair.
Yeah, ultimately, I think they got it right with Notre Dame, but I believe that there were 3 teams that had arguments. Obviously, Notre Dame, because they've been in the top 3 all year long. They had a great win over Clemson. Everybody's going to talk, well, they didn't have Trevor Lawrence, they have defensive players, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, they proved what they were going to do when they saw that Florida lost to an unranked LSU team and they only dropped in 1 spot. So that told you right there, like, well, they're not going to drop Notre Dame out of it, you know, even though they got blown out. So they're not going to drop them out of it. But I believe that Texas A&M had an argument, and I believe that I believe UC had an argument. But what I had to realize is, and what I'm starting to realize, this isn't a playoff. What we're getting in NFL is a playoff. What we're getting in college football is an invitational, like the Maui Invitational, Coaches versus Cancer. Those invitationals that they have in college basketball, that's what this is. This is an invitational. You're being invited to compete for the national championship in college football. And it's like you said, it's not necessarily the most deserving teams because the most deserving teams aren't in there. You know, I mean, 3 of them are, but I believe that a deserving team that played some real good football and you see made a very valid argument to be in there. But it's not about being deserved in college football. It's about a lot of different factors. It's not only about deserving to be in there. It's about TV ratings. It's about brand name teams and everything like that. All those things play a factor in college football. As much as I personally think it's wrong, I have to realize that all these factors come into it. So for a team outside of the Power 5 or a team like Indiana to get into the college football playoff, you're going to have to do some remarkable feats. So I believe you about Indiana. I believe they would have struggled getting themselves into the college football playoff this year, even if they would have beat Ohio State. I truly believe that based off of everything we've seen this year. We talked about this going into the year. If not this year, when is a team from the non-Power 5 going to crack into the college football playoff? We have an undefeated team sitting there and not even at 5, not at 6. They're at 7. So they're way on the outside. They're not even close to being in the college football playoff. So what I personally have to realize is this is how it's going to be done. And what these teams have to realize, like a UC and a BYU and, you know, name your other teams from non-Power 5 schools, is you have to do something remarkable Every game has to be a blowout. You got to destroy teams. You got to humiliate teams. You got to take the teams to the woodshed. I'm talking 60-13. I'm talking 45-0 games. Like you can't leave any doubt. UC played Tulsa in their conference championship game. They won by 3 points or whatever. Tulsa was ranked 25. Nobody cares because their name has Tulsa in front of it.
I disagree. Nobody, I disagree. No, I agree with you that nobody cares. But it's not because it's Tulsa, but it's because they're number 25. You had Clemson, Notre Dame in their title game. You had Florida and Alabama in their title game. Northwestern is not the sexiest brand, but they were number 14 going up against Ohio State. Like you had the gaps of the rankings were tight. Like these were good teams going head to head. My problem is this, and I tweeted this out. I know you probably would have liked it if you saw it. But, I said that if Alabama was playing Tulsa and won by 3, we would be saying, "Man, they're not that good then." If Clemson only beat Tulsa by 3, we'd be saying they're not that good then. Same thing with Ohio State, but Cincinnati does it, and we're like, man, they capped off a great year. Like we're moving the goalpost. Like we say that we're moving the goalpost against Cincinnati. I think we're moving them forward. We're praising Cincinnati. We're giving them credit for winning a conference championship. Yes, that's tough, but we're praising Cincinnati for beating a team that we would be ripping any other playoff contender for barely beating. We did it to Ohio State. Northwestern's not a terrible team, but Ohio State didn't dominate on site, right? No, they didn't dominate them, okay? They didn't dominate Northwestern, and we critiqued it. So if we can critique Ohio State for not pounding Northwestern, I think it's fair to treat Cincinnati that way. This is where it gets tough. And I said this the other day when you weren't here. You can't control your conference, right? But what you can control, and you couldn't this year because of COVID, but what you can control is your non-conference. You got to ask yourself if you're the Bearcats, and for those who've heard this, I'm sorry, but I want to, me and Kev haven't gone back and forth on this yet. If you're Cincinnati, you got to ask yourself, do we want to be a business that provides just enough games to appease our season ticket holders, or do we want to play games that are going to get us in? Because here's what happens, Kev. Teams like Notre Dame and Ohio, well, forget Notre Dame, but Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, they have to challenge themselves technically, right, in the non-conference. Mm-hmm. Well, they don't, because they can go right in the non-conference because they're going to get all the meat of everything in their conference schedule. Cincinnati has to approach it differently. They have to hit the ground running, challenge themselves in the first month of the season, and face the teams in the back half that Ohio State and others, they would kill to have that schedule to close out the season, as opposed to that being what they open up with. So this is what the schedule for Cincinnati would have been had the season not been impacted by COVID, Kev. If you're Cincinnati, knowing that you're going to be told, hey, you don't play a tough enough schedule to get in, why would you put Austin Peay on that schedule, Kev? Why would you put Western Michigan? Why would you put Miami of Ohio? Now, people are saying Ohio State plays those teams. Again, you can go light when you're Ohio State because you're going to get enough of your tougher opponents in conference play. Cincinnati will not. So Cincinnati's not doing themselves any favors by putting Austin Peay, Western Michigan, Miami of Ohio. They did put Nebraska, but let's be clear. You need 2 Nebraskas. You need 2 or 3 of those Power 5 opponents, and you're saying, well, that's overkill. Why is that overkill? It's not overkill for Ohio State to have to play those same teams, for 8 weeks or 9 weeks. Alabama has to face that gauntlet. Clemson, even though it's a bad ACC, those ACC opponents are better than the good U.S. conference, American conference teams. So I don't think we're being hypocritical here. I think it makes sense. Cincinnati needs to do a better job, and I think they are. Next year, it's Ohio State. I was like, man, good for them. They play Oregon. Hold up. I have Cincinnati's schedule here, and I think I lost it in the midst of all of it. Okay, so next year, they play Miami of Ohio. Okay. They play Murray State. Again, why? Racers. What are those games getting you other than, our season ticket holders? Again, you got to ask yourself, do you want to – I think your season ticket holders would rather you play less home games and watch you get big wins in the non-conference and cheering you on in the play. You got to ask yourself, what do your fans really want? Do they want more home games? Because that's what those are. Miami of Ohio, Murray State, those aren't resume builders.
To be fair, Miami of Ohio and UC is a rivalry game. The Murray State, the fighting Ja Morants, get them out of here. You don't need to be playing them.
But even Miami, you got to ask yourself, you want to mess with that little rivalry down at the bottom? You want to be a big boy? UD has to face it all the time. That's why they don't want the right. We don't have time for this little rivalry conversation. Where I said we're worried about the Mississippi States and the SMUs and those guys. I don't like it, but I get it. And it's the same thing here. But to their Cincinnati next year at Indiana. Indiana's supposed to be good next year. They return a lot of guys.
Yeah, buddy.
If you're Cincinnati, you beat Indiana, that's excellent. I don't care if it's Indiana. It's a good Indiana team. It's a Power 5 team. You're doing what you're told, right? Then you play at Notre Dame. That's where you're going to get, like, next year, Cincinnati at Notre Dame. But why are you doing that? Look, because if you're saying that Cincinnati this year deserves to be looked at as one of those, we shouldn't, because if we said Ohio State plays Notre Dame in the non-conference next year, we wouldn't go, oh, man, we wouldn't wince. We'd say that's going to be good. So that's what I mean by building. Cincinnati needs to build to where when we see Cincinnati Notre Dame, that's going to be one hell of a game, not, oh, man, they're going to kill their playoff chances at the beginning. Well, if you feel that way, that means this team's not there yet. Cincinnati's not there yet. Next year's going to be that building block. But that's what I mean by you can't control your conference, but you can control the non-conference. And why waste Saturdays? Saturdays are your prime real estate before conference play starts. Stop wasting it on Miami of Ohio. Stop wasting it on Murray State and all that. Indiana, the Nebraska, the Notre Dame game. Good for them, by the way. Good. That's a good game. Good for Luke Fickell and Cincinnati for being willing to go play at Notre Dame. That's what you have to do. And that's where I'll leave it at that. I'm not taking a shot at Cincinnati, but that's the reality of it. You can't control your conference, but you can control the non-conference. It's reversed. Ohio State could take it easy in the non-conference, Alabama, all that, because they're going to get challenged come conference time. So there's that.
I'm with you. I get you. I totally agree. They have to do everything in their power to get to that big dog status and to get to those conferences and everything like that. And that's why I think this Friday's matchup is so huge for UC. Like I was talking about with Utah propelling themselves into the Pac-12. You know, they were in the Mountain West, and then they beat Alabama. Then all these talks started talking about them entering the Pac-12, which they cashed out and did. You got to think, hey, man, there was a point where TCU and Baylor weren't in the Big 12. You know, they were in the Mountain West as well. Yep. So you have to do these games and win these important matchups. I think this game on Friday is far more important than the Notre Dame game next season. I think this game right here is everything for UC. Like, if I'm UC and I win this game, I'm pulling the UCF. I'm hoisting the banner. Like, I'm doing it all. I'm parade, COVID parade, the whole nine. Like, why not? Because you know what? And Ohio State has what? We have what? 8 recognized national championships. Alabama has what? 15 recognized national championships. But like, there's organizations that award national champions all the time. So like, that's why I say about this being an invitational. The college football thing is an invitational as opposed to a true playoff. I will hoist that banner, man. I think that helped with UCF's recruiting and their fan base. I would do it.
Here's the other thing too, and for anyone out there that thinks there's no such thing as a fair playoff, everyone's like, it's an invitational. It's not a true playoff. There's not a true playoff format out there that is fair. You want to know why? Keith and I talked about this on Sunday. College football is the most unfair platform out there. Facts. Like when you're trying to tell me that Bowling Green is a Division I football team, and well, so is Ohio State. Stop. Like, sure they are technically, but they're not even. So if we go to an 18 playoff, if you're saying, well, that's fair for all of Division I college football, how? Bowling Green still doesn't have a shot. Right. Miami of Ohio still doesn't have a shot. So that's why I think college football, the right answer is you need to reshape what Division I is in college football. That'll never happen. No. So the only thing that's going to happen is this top heavy, but that's what college football is. College basketball is top heavy, but at the same time, when you get to March Madness, there's 68 opportunities. I also think the physicality of the sport's much different. I think basketball, it's easier for the small guys to match it up, and people will bring up a lot of upsets that have happened. I just don't think there would be enough upsets to justify moving to more teams to give them a shot. Bowling Green would get smacked around, and it's just the reality of it. But no, for Cincinnati, they're on the right track. They're on the way. I love that schedule for next year. The schedule wasn't the worst thing this year. I just think that even if they would have played Nebraska, Austin Peay, Western Michigan, Miami of Ohio, if you paired those 3 non-conference games with the win at Nebraska and a conference championship undefeated, I don't know how much better their resume is than what it is right now. So the Nebraska is nice, but you need to get 2 of those games in there. That's why, UCF, I scoffed at them when Florida was willing to do the 3-for-1, and they said, oh, no, we're not doing that. You got to sacrifice a lot in the early going. It's not right, and Florida's taking advantage of it, but UCF should have done it. They're saying, it's tough to get non-conference games. I don't care if you have to play on the road or at home. Those games are so important. And you get a win on the road, that's more impressive than winning on your home field. So I know we spend a lot of time on that, but
no, it's good. It's good conversation. And for the UC thing, another thing people got to realize too. When it came out a couple of Sundays ago, my first inkling was, yeah, man, they probably need to expand it. But you know what? This is an oddball year, and I had to come to my senses. Yes, there's going to be potentially multiple undefeated teams this year at the end of the season. But at the end of the day, there's always that question mark about who's number 4. We can go all the way back to the first college football playoff where Ohio State was able to get that 4th seed.
And many people said they shouldn't have been.
Where Baylor and TCU were battling for that 4th seed as well. There's always an argument for that 4th spot. The 1, 2, 3 is probably always pretty clear cut favorite. But guess what? Most of the time, that 4th team gets their doors blown off. So as much as I believe like this fairness thing about UC, earning the right to get in there and play football and everything like that, at the end of the day, the 4th team gets blown out. Oklahoma got blew out last year.
By halftime.
Yeah, so we can look at all the college football playoff games. There's a lot of blowouts in there. Think about the close games. You had that great game with Deshaun Watson versus Bama. You had the Deshaun Watson Bama game his sophomore year. That was a great game. Obviously, the Ohio State Bama game was a great game. You had the Oklahoma Georgia game was great. The Bama Georgia game was great. Ohio State Clemson last year was great. But there's a lot of other blowouts in there, man.
Yeah,
those are the only great games.
I've never used the blowout criteria as and I said this yesterday when you were out. I said I don't like when people say, "Oh, they got blown out. See, they didn't deserve to be there." No.
I don't think that either. I just think that that's evidence to say maybe we shouldn't be expanding this thing to allow more teams in here. I think we pretty much got the right teams in here, and I honestly think that this 4-team playoff isn't the best thing for college football, but that's a totally different subject.
Yeah. I will say I have swayed a little. I don't want it to move from 4 to anything else.
Good.
But I heard today on one of the shows, I had to write it down earlier. The average viewers for the Final Four for the college football playoff selection show, the average viewers for the first 3 years was at 9 million. This last one, 2.5. 2.5. So from the first one to now, you've lost 7 million. Fans are checking out.
Yeah,
fans are checking out. But there's, I don't know. No, I'm sorry. That's all I meant. Fans are checking out. Now I need to go look at what I'm going to do for tomorrow, so I have more in front of me to base it on. I love to look at it year by year. Was it up last year and down this year? Just because this year sucked a lot of energy out of fans. Let's be honest. Ohio State's in. And I don't care what anyone says. Buckeye fans, they're lucky to be in. They're good. They deserve to be in, but they only played 6 games. They're very fortunate that the committee didn't have this very aggressive rule saying, yeah, you at least need to play X amount of games to get in. They're very fortunate. All right, it still feels weird. It does. I'm looking at Clemson 10-1 against 6-0 Ohio State. It's weird. Clemson's played half as many games, or just double the amount of games. It's a strange year. So I need to go look at the numbers year by year to see, has there been a decline, or is this year just because I think sports fans are just exhausted? This year has worn out a lot of fans.
I think it's team fatigue. And that's no knock to the teams, that the other teams need to get better to get in there. They need to beat Ohio State. They need to beat Alabama. They need to beat Clemson for other teams to get in there, for other fan bases to have a rooting interest. It's not their fault. Those teams are in the business of winning championships, and they're doing their part by getting to the college football playoff. But as a person that isn't, I am a college football fanatic, so I'm going to watch everything. I'm watching terrible bowl games all the time. Matter of fact, it's a bowl game on right now. We got to turn on. But so for the other people out there that are like, man, of course it's going to be Alabama. Of course it's going to be Clemson. Of course it's going to be Ohio State. Just let me know when they play. That's how it is. And there was a uniqueness and newness to the new one. The first time, we were coming off the BCS where computers were revealing, letting us know who was in the national championship game. Now we got a playoff, and I think it is starting to lose some of that shine. I think this does lose a little bit of shine to the playoff. To sport of college football.
All right, Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We both have our top 10 NFL teams right now heading into the final week of the regular season. Now, this is not like the college football playoff for its body of work. Top 10 teams in the NFL right now. Top 10 teams in the NFL right now. Our top 10 coming up around the corner. Also, we have an update as far as the future of Dwayne Haskins. The Washington football team released him yesterday. We have an update as far as where he is at within that waiver process. Where could he end up? We'll get to that coming up around the corner. Plus, we'll get to your calls and Facebook reaction. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
We have sunny skies today with a high of 37 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 33 degrees. And for your midweek Wednesday, rain is predicted, but a high of 51 degrees. And I'm Lorna Stevens for 1410 ESPN Radio.
This Christmas, experience Wonder Woman 1984 in theaters and on HBO Max the exact same day, streaming at no extra cost to HBO Max subscribers. Plus, with HBO Max, stream the greatest collection of series, movies, and exclusive Max originals all in one place. The Undoing, The Flight Attendant, and more. Go to HBOMax.com or download the app to sign up and start streaming today. Wonder Woman 1984 is rated PG-13 and is available to stream on HBO Max for 31 days from theatrical premiere.
O'Reilly. This is Jesse's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
As a nurse, not making it to work was not an option. But driving through the snow with my wiper blades struggling, I just didn't feel safe. So I pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts, and before I knew it, an employee was offering to install the wiper blades on my car. I got to stay out of the snow for a moment, and I still made it to work on time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For official contest rules, go to wingam.com and click on contests.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but thought it would be too difficult? Then try Babbel. Babbel starts by teaching you words and phrases that gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations. So in 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking a new language in a few weeks. Babbel is built around real life. It teaches you practical conversations that you will actually use. Babbel. Language for life. Start the new year with a new language. Get up to 60% off now at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
A sports injury, low back pain, or are you interested in improving your performance and getting to the next level? Orion Sports Medicine is truly a unique sports medicine and physical therapy clinic and training facility. We offer a highly educated staff that has experience working with athletes from the recreational and youth levels to elite professionals. We offer services that include PT, functional assessment, wellness, fitness, return to sport, sports performance, strength and conditioning, speed and agility training, all at our state-of-the-art facility in Miamisburg. For more information on Orion Sports Medicine, visit orionsportsmedicine.com.
Get the everyday essential products you need at Menards. Procter & Gamble has the well-known brands that you can trust. Whether you need Puffs facial tissue, Dawn Platinum dish soap, a Mr. Clean magic eraser, or a bottle of Gain detergent. Right now, check out the Procter & Gamble family of brands and stock up on all of your everyday needs. Stop waiting and start saving at Menards. Prices are good through January 2nd.
Save big money at Menards.
What can help you take advantage of today's low mortgage rates and save money? Rocket can. You could save hundreds of dollars every month by refinancing with Rocket Mortgage at today's near historic low rates. If your current rate is over 4%, with today's low rates, you could lower your payment by over $150 a month, saving thousands in interest every year. With a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, you could consolidate and pay off high-interest debt, tackle home improvements that could add value to your home, or even set aside cash for your child's future education. We've already helped over 1 million clients just like you reach their home financing goals this year alone. So remember this, what can give you the technology to refinance easily and save money? Rocket can. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com. That's 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Savings are based on quick loans, term rate, fees may apply. Offer cost information and conditions. See files letter, license in all 50 states, and LLC, 53.
Make sure your family doesn't have a fever by taking their temperatures both before dinner and in the morning. Stay safe with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the #1 preferred thermometer of pediatricians.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Every Sunday morning, join myself and Keith Byers live at Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall for the Sunday morning tailgate show, which starts every Sunday morning at 11:30. We'll talk all things college football and NFL, including your Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, and more. The Sunday morning tailgate show will be with you every Sunday morning at Frickers on 741 all the way up through Super Bowl Sunday. So we always encourage everyone to come out. Again, Frickers does a good job of keeping everything spaced out. The tables are safely spaced out, so you could still come in, sit down. You're not crowded on top of one another. There's wall-to-wall TVs. You can take in the show, meet Keith. I'll leave you alone. I won't talk to you, I promise. So Keith, we put a sign up that said Keith Byers will sign one autograph per person, because this one guy keeps coming out. This one guy comes out every week, and he always says, "Oh yeah, my kids are big fans of yours." This little 2-year-old girl, 3-year-old girl. Keith looked at me. This girl don't know who the hell I am. But we know this dude's just taking the stuff and going off and selling it. So I said, no more. We're just going to put one autograph per person. But I put underneath, but Kinner will sign as many items as you like. Merry Christmas. So there you go. But no, it's like we enjoy doing this show out there. We're going to be out there each and every Sunday morning through Super Bowl Sunday. So come on out and hang out. It's always fun catching up and putting some faces with the names of the callers in the show and the listeners. So that's always fun. So keep that in mind. All right, real quick, an update. ESPN's Adam Schefter says that former Washington football team quarterback and former Buckeye Dwayne Haskins went unclaimed today on waivers per source. Haskins is now free to sign wherever there is interest, and there are teams that have already expressed some, again, per source. This should be of no surprise. I think that we become very territorial of our players that we followed when they're in college. And then, because Kev, think about this. Buckeye fans, Dwayne Haskins, all we heard was praise of Dwayne Haskins, how great he was when he was at Ohio State. And by the way, him not playing well in the pros doesn't make him anything less or less great of a player at Ohio State or less of a person. So that's, when we talk like this, I always feel bad. It's easy to talk about people you don't know. Right. But the thing is when Dwayne Haskins was at Ohio State, the only media coverage you heard of him is how great he is, how awesome he is. I mean, we as Buckeye fans don't hear anyone criticizing him. We as here in the Dayton area, Obi Toppin last year, you couldn't find anyone that had anything bad to say about him outside of, some of the angry, upset Luka Garza Iowa fans, right? Like that's the only people you could find that would say anything bad about Obi Toppin. And then he gets to the NBA, and then you'll find different reporters around New York that are very critical of Obi's game right now, and people lose their minds because we're just so used to the media telling us how great these guys are, and they are. But it's a whole other world when you leave your little college landscape, right. Okay? So Dwayne Haskins is now at the point where he is being shredded because this isn't the same Dwayne Haskins that we knew back when he was at Ohio State. There hasn't been a lot of positivity to build on. Some his fault, some not. Washington is a terrible organization. I love the hire, of course, of the new head coach there. I mean, brings some stability there. And Ron Rivera, I think that was a hell of a hire. I think that he provides some stability for a franchise and provides a little bit of respect for a franchise that is a laughingstock amongst most critics out there. So with that being said, Dwayne Haskins, it's weird seeing his name being just ripped through the media right now. He was outright released. He was named the starter, named a captain coming into the season under, first-year head coach Ron Rivera. I thought that was going to be a good coach to be brought in for him. If anyone out there is going to be able to connect with him and get him to buy in, it's going to be Rivera, who coached a very similar personality in Cam Newton, very similar throwing style in Cam Newton and Dwayne Haskins, at least from a potential standpoint, okay? It didn't work out. Dwayne Haskins just does not look like a great NFL quarterback. He doesn't look like he did in college. He came in, he looked like he got in better shape coming into the season. He's in bad shape right now. If they were criticizing the fact that he, does not work hard in practice, that he's out of shape, has an attitude. Like there's a lot of things behind the scenes that are starting to come out about him. And it doesn't surprise me. And then on top of it, being caught at the party, not wearing a mask, at a strip club. And to add on top of it, it's very insensitive of him. You have a coach who was at the time going through chemotherapy. Again, I'm very happy that Ron Rivera is, for the time being, beat cancer, is no longer going through that. But, at the time you have someone who's considered high risk, a coach that you are around on a daily basis, and to have so little respect to think about that. And on top of the fact that throughout the pandemic, you're just out making mistakes during a time that your team is in a playoff push. Like Dwayne Haskins has made so many mistakes over this past year that it is tough to defend him. He's outright released 2 years into, not even a full 2 years into the league. Okay. This after 2 years ago, everyone, including me, I ripped the Bengals, I ripped the Giants, I ripped every team that needed a quarterback that passed on them. The Giants with the 6th overall pick took Daniel Jones out of Duke, which everyone laughed at them. Daniel Jones looks pretty dang good. Mm-hmm. They're lucky they didn't take Dwayne Haskins at this point. The Bengals, Michael, I still think it was wrong. The reason I'm still going to say the Bengals were done for at the time passing up on a potential good quarterback is because you didn't know you were only going to be a 2-win team a year later that would put you in position to have the number 1 overall pick. So I hate when people I think the Bengals knew what they were doing. No, they didn't. They didn't know they were going to be a 2-win team. They didn't know that Joe Burrow, who had a 5th-round draft grade going into that season, was all of a sudden going to take off and be the number 1 overall pick and one of the best quarterbacks in college football ever, right? So, no.
Joe Burrow didn't know he was going to
Joe Burrow, yeah. So that's the thing. So, no, Dwayne Haskins, it's tough seeing the media just kind of rip him to shreds right now, but a lot of it's self-inflicted. And yes, Washington's not a good organization, but at the same time, we saw Joe Burrow step up and be a pro's pro in a bad organization. We've seen Baker get beat up in a bad organization, and he's had to, it took a stability head coach to come in to be able to get him back on track a little bit. The bottom line is if you're a good quarterback in college, you're most likely going to a bad organization because bad organizations have the higher draft picks. All I'm saying is I'm not defending Dwayne Haskins here. It's self-inflicted. Does he have potential? Possibly. Has he shot himself in the foot toward the point where he can't come back from this? I don't know. He's going to get another opportunity. There's already teams interested. Mm-hmm. I think your Steelers make a lot of sense. I asked you, what do you think as far as where does he fit? Your thoughts on the Dwayne Haskins fallout over the last 24 hours?
Ooh-wee. This thing has been a total nightmare. A total nightmare on every front. Us as Ohio State fans, we love him because he's a Buckeye. And that's never going to change.
Once a Buckeye, always a Buckeye.
Unless you're Tate Martell.
And now Dwayne Haskins, maybe.
No, we ain't going to turn our back on him. He balled out for the Buckeyes. But this had debacle written all over it from the jump for me. I said, and I have this firm belief that I am not drafting a college quarterback that only starts 1 year. I refuse. He hasn't seen enough snaps, in my humble opinion. I also have a thing about drafting quarterbacks from these superpower programs like an Ohio State, like an Alabama, like a Clemson, like USC in the early 2000s and everything like that, because I don't know if you're the reason they're winning or it's because all this talent around you. I mean, you look at that Ohio State roster that he played with, and those guys, Dobbins, balling out of control. Terry McLaurin, balling out of control. Paris Campbell, when his leg ain't falling off, balling. So there's a ton of guys. So I don't know if it's you or all this offensive talent around you, not to mention all the offensive linemen that got drafted in the NFL. Then he goes to the Washington football team. Washington football team has a terrible history of not developing players and terrible history of just trying to throw money at the problem instead of actually trying to fix the situation. They're doing that now, but before they were doing that. And then they fired the coach and the GM that drafted him.
That didn't want him.
That
Snyder wanted it.
Yeah.
It's just a debacle.
So now you have a whole new regime, so they're not beholden to you at all. And the biggest part, you hit on all the things that he's doing wrong off the field. But he ain't playing good. He's playing terrible. We argued about James Harden a couple weeks ago. And to your credit, and to James Harden's credit, more importantly, James Harden can be fat, out of shape, be a bad teammate, all he wants to be. in the world. And I could be mad at it, and everybody can be mad at it. But guess what? He's dropping 40, balling, hooping. Dwayne Haskins is throwing interceptions and fumbling all over the place. So this ain't the 60s and 70s where you got Joe Namath smoking cigarettes, coming in there with a fur coat after partying the night before, throwing 3 touchdowns. Unless you're doing that, you're out of here. And you know how bad of a teammate he had to be? Johnny Manziel was allegedly doing cocaine and didn't get cut. He just got cut halfway through his second year in the NFL. So imagine how the grown adults in that locker room looked at him. This is a bad look. I said I wasn't going to say it, but I said it. It might be a wrap for him, man. Dwayne Haskins, you're a Buckeye. I love you and all that good stuff, man. It might be a wrap, man, unless you do some serious growing up, man. Some serious growing up. Because this is horrible. This is a horrible look, man. This is a horrible look not only for yourself, but for your family. You know, and forget the whole little Buckeye Nation stuff and all that stuff, man. Think about yourself. Think about your career. He's 23 years old, and you might be done? Like, that's serious, man. Like, you're 23 years old. You cashed out one time on a great contract and everything like that, but your ultimate goal wasn't just to cash out once, it was to cash out multiple times and be a starting quarterback in the NFL and make this your career. And you're flushing it down the toilet, man. I don't know who's in his inner circle. I don't know if it's his parents. He has advisors, former coaches. Somebody needs to talk to him and get his head on straight, because there seems to be some major immaturity issues going on with Dwayne Haskins. I mean, I know the easy part is the picture at the strip club, because that's the part we see. I don't think that's it. I think it's the things that go on at practice. I think it's the things that go on in the film room. I think it's the older guys, because they have offensive linemen on there who are 30 plus years old, who have wives and kids and all that type of stuff, who've made sacrifices during COVID not to see family. I read a story about a player on the Washington football team whose sister just had a kid and wasn't able to go see the niece and everything like that because he's making that sacrifice. Think about all the sacrifices guys on that team are making, and he's out at the strip club maskless. I thought this was going to happen with a team like, no offense, but the Atlanta Falcons. You know, they're out of the playoff talk, right? They're done. And
that's what makes this worse. Yeah.
They're out of the playoffs, and Atlanta is a hot city. It's a place. It's a destination people go to have parties and have a good time. James Harden was there. So I was figuring something like this would happen there. You are the quarterback of a team that is trying to make the playoffs, bruh. And you out partying after having a terrible game? What's going on here? So, look, man, he needs a serious wake-up call, because he's going to be coaching middle school football in a second, because that's the road he's headed down, because he needs a serious wake-up call.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, I'd be willing to give him more of the benefit of the doubt if the Washington football team, that organization's a mess. But you have Ron Rivera, who's one of the most respected dudes in the National Football League. Like he's
Daniel Snyder's been hands on.
Yeah, he's the leader of men. He's the leader of men.
Yeah,
like people buy into it. He's respected. So Ron Rivera, he's not. When he took the starting job away from him and moved him down to third string, this isn't just some random young coach who's trying to make an example and trying to make these tough decisions. No, Ron Rivera knows what he's doing. He's been coach of the year. He's won division titles. He's been
Cam
Super Bowl.
Newton,
Yeah.
man.
So
an eccentric personality in Cam Newton.
We got to stop acting like, this it's a bad organization. They ruined it. Ron Rivera didn't ruin it. Ron Rivera tried to revitalize him.
Right.
Ron Rivera made him a captain, gave him the starting spot, took it away, gave it back to him, of course, when the opportunity presented itself, of course. And with their team in the playoff hunt, you decide to break COVID protocols. You have a coach who's, high risk, all these things. Like, football is the farthest thing from your mind. And you talked about all those guys making sacrifices. Football is all that's on their mind for this very reason. And you got to, handle that. Like Lamar says here on Facebook, how many people can we rip in society for not wearing a mask? I didn't like the fact that they bring up sexual allegations within the organization. In comparison, Haskins has not played well. Judge it for that only. He's 22 to 23. Come on, man. No, not a I know what you're saying, Lamar, because we don't know the guy personally. It sounds like we're attacking him personally. But when you want to take all the great things that come with being an NFL quarterback, all the praise, all of the opportunities off this is part of it too. And as a quarterback, it would be just as wrong if a running back or receiver is doing it. But because you're the quarterback, you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the guy. Like your team goes as you go. That's what makes this worse. So I don't want to hear that he's 22 or 23. You're a man. At 22, 23, you're a young man. You're still learning. But, you're Alex Smith, a good, another quarterback there. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have veterans around him.
Right.
And there are people saying he doesn't take to that very well. He doesn't accept help from others. He doesn't accept mentorship. So when you have Alex Smith in that quarterback room, when you have Ron Rivera as the head coach, it's not like he doesn't have established, professionals in that locker room to help him along the way. He's choosing not to. Like, I don't feel bad for him from that perspective because the opportunities are there.
Right.
I do hope he gets another shot. Maybe he makes the most of it. Which team? Where do you think he could potentially end up?
Man, maybe down in Tampa. Sitting behind the GOAT, Tom Brady.
How many spots who's
the back? Oh, Rosen's the backup already. He's already on the try to get right protocol behind Tom Brady. And it's Jameis is already down in New Orleans trying to get right. I don't know, man. It's a tough land.
You're avoiding it, but your team's the popular one.
I don't think so. I think that the way that the Steelers operate, and after that debacle they had with AB and Le'Veon Bell, I think they want to steer clear from anybody who isn't on the up and up right now. That's what I think. That's what I think they're going to do. But wherever he lands, because ultimately he'll probably get an opportunity. I mean, Jamarcus Russell got another opportunity
at lineman
to get back in the NFL and everything like that. But he ate his way out the league too. I just think that, we lean on the saying like, all right, these guys are young. He's 20-something years old. He got a lot of money. He's at home. Maybe he has bad influences. That may all be true. But at the end of the day, man, if you suck when you play, that's the end of the story. Like, all these things can be going on behind the scenes, but when we put you on the field, you can't execute. It's nothing we can do for you.
Yeah, talented guys get shots. How many shots Josh Gordon get? And still getting shots, and he still is getting reprimanded by the league. Like,
yeah, but he's talented and
that's
produce.
My point. My point is talent could make up for a lot of these mistakes.
Right.
So Dwayne Haskins can't be making these off-field and in-practice mistakes and be bad on game day.
Right.
Zeke Elliott's a prime example. Zeke Elliott is probably the same maturity level, making the same level of mistakes, had probably worse allegations against him off the field with the sexual harassment stuff and everything else on top of the pulling the girl's top down at the parade and all that. He had so much going to get missing games, being suspended. The Cowboys still overpaid. And why? Because his talent is worth the noise. The noise, it's worth dealing with the noise because the talent's there. Dwayne Haskins, you ain't good enough to deal with all this noise.
Yeah, I mean, look at Antonio. Look what Antonio Brown did. But he produces when he's on the field, and that's what it's all about. He's not producing when he's on the field, and I wish him nothing but the best, man. Hopefully, he can get his act together and potentially salvage his career, because this is a horrible look, man. Like I said before, man, you mean to tell me that Johnny Manziel was allegedly doing cocaine and still got to ride out his contract, and Dwayne Haskins was so bad in the locker room that they just decided to cut bait? That says a lot about Dwayne Haskins.
All right, folks, we appreciate everyone hanging out today and tuning in to the show. Just a reminder, this Friday night, the Sugar Bowl, Ohio State Clemson. If you're looking for dinner plans, you're going to be staying at home to watch the game, make sure you feed the whole frickin' family with the family feast at Frickers. It includes, you could pick between 50 boneless wings, either 4 pounds of barbecue pulled pork and buns. You can get 50 traditional wings or 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks. You also get 2 sides, which could include baked beans, pasta salad, mac and cheese, green beans, wedge fries, curly fries. Bottom line is, this is the deal. $44.99 is the price. Feed the whole family for that low price right there again. So take in Frickers' great food while watching, of course, Alabama, Notre Dame. You also have Cincinnati, Georgia earlier in the day, and then you have Ohio State, Clemson, the grand finale at the end. So take advantage of Frickers' great specials. They have a lot of these specials all the way up through the Super Bowl as well. So keep that in mind for those of you who are looking to stay home, taking the big games, but have that feel of being out at Frickers or one of these sports bars. So I promise you, Frickers is the way to go. Vincent Waller on Facebook, Kev, says, if the Browns can't beat the Steelers with Rudolph, the cracked cranium quarterback, then they don't deserve the playoff spot, point blank. Vincent, no arguments here. Look, The Browns have no, bro, I need people to understand. A lot of people are telling me, Kev, if the Browns win, they should win. The Steelers aren't very good. So people are willing to accept. They're acknowledging that when teams don't have their original starters, that they're not that good, right? Is that what we're acknowledging here? Bengals fans are so dumb. Like, not all, but the ones that are sitting here saying that the Browns should not have taken a step backwards even without all their starters out this past Sunday. They said, no, next man up. But with the Steelers, they're out without their starters. And the Browns should beat them because they're bad. That's I scratch my head.
Elevate them.
But the sad thing
Elevate
is,
them.
they're right. The Browns should beat the Steelers. No questions asked, especially with Mason Rudolph. Holy smokes.
Don't disrespect my quarterback.
Yeah, remember this conversation about Dwayne Haskins when we watched Mason Rudolph on Sunday. I'm just throwing that out.
I'll be out here dropping dimes.
Yeah, he's going to be.
Oh, Mason.
All right, folks. Have a great night. We'll do this again tomorrow. Until tomorrow, it's been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, Kinner and Kev on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Merry Christmas. It's the